It was you.
It was you, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody, this is a Rude Advice episode, and this is part 2, I guess, from our conversation from a while back.
Yeah,
hey, there you go. I got my good friend CP and my good friend Cody down there, and we had a discussion, an adult movie related, but it really wasn't tied to movies. It was just bullshit that we talked about.
Movies for 8 minutes, blowjobs for an hour and a half.
CP not getting signals from women, all these things. So I decided to do another part 2. This is not live. I may broadcast this later. I don't know, but I just wanted to hang out and just talk to each other. I meant, and just bullshit and see what happens and go from there. And I'm glad you guys are doing this. Cody, I know you're super busy. I interviewed Sean last night, and he was talking about Megacon. I know you got a big weekend coming up, so I know you're super busy. So thanks for taking the time. And CP, I know it's like 3 a.m. over there in Scotland, right? So thanks for doing this.
He's awake. Trust me. He's up.
Yeah, I'm shit. It's coming up on 2 months now. I'm getting used to New York time again. Well, I've been used to it, but
there was about 2 weeks where his timing was totally different, where I'm like, he was sending me voice messages at like 8 a.m. And I was like, motherfucker, I don't want to hear your voice before when the sun's just coming up. And then now lately it's like, oh yeah, 3:30 a.m. He's here. Hey, what's up? You up?
And I think CP, outside of the Metallica video, this is like the first time you've been on my channel in a while, because you ghosted me last time, motherfucker, on the Dream Warriors.
I'm sorry, I was dying.
That's no excuse.
I know that was 300. It was 300 when
I don't know if you were part of the 300. I think I threw the invite out there, but
the invite was out there, but I was like, dude, I can't stand, let alone put a TV on.
But
yeah, Dream Warriors. I thought we did 4 after that. So
we didn't do 4. I stopped at 3.
I like Dream Warriors.
Yeah, I was like, he better be dead. What's going on with him?
I kept reassuring him. I'm like, he does this. He's not dead, but he's close. We'll hear from him in 3 days.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get a hold of me if I'm not sick or anything when the missus is by, because Cody's got the bat phone where he can be like, hey, wake him up.
So
a hot dog in his ear was my code for the longest time.
So the conversations aren't going to be necessarily movie related. I have some bullet points, but I just want to see how things go naturally. But I wanted to ask you guys a question, because you're both married. I'm engaged, for marriage number 2.
Only on paper.
Don't do it
on paper. Don't do it, son of a bitch. But a good discussion came up on my podcast and on TikTok last week regarding privacy. And I wanted to ask, since you both are married for a number of years, are you entitled to privacy when you're married?
Absolutely.
I'm in my office.
Okay.
I think a healthy relationship needs a certain amount of privacy. I mean, there's things you don't need to be private. Privacy doesn't mean secrecy.
Right.
They're not the same exact
They're 2 different
thing.
things. Yeah.
Privacy is like, I'm in my room. I'm hanging out with my friends talking about whatever, or I can't sleep at midnight, so I'm going to go downstairs and watch TV, or I'm going to go sit out in the front porch, or a couple of Amazon purchases that I don't really need to explain, where they're just going to show up in the house, like stuff like that. That's like, innocent. It's not really a big deal, but your partner doesn't need to be on top of every single move, every single word that comes out of your mouth.
Right.
I think I remember caught the tail end of your stream. I think the big thing that set it off was like cell phones. Like, should you be able to just like take your wife's cell phone and go through it, or your wife vice versa? Let me look through your messages.
Have access to every one of her social media platforms, and you can log in and check anytime. Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any reason to be worried about them checking, but the request in and of itself, it shows distrust.
Yes.
Which is just as much of an issue. If it's like, I need to go through your messages, like, well, what are you trying to find? What do you think is going to be there? If you trusted me, there wouldn't even be a reason for concern. So that's where it becomes an issue. And I don't know anybody who has ever been in a relationship where they have to look at each other's messages that has worked out. And I've seen
it's worked out. Yeah.
I've seen plenty of them. I mean, there was one where I remember I was in my 20s and it was a good friend of mine, and I was talking to her and she's like, I need your advice on something. And she basically sent me a screenshot of some texts that her boyfriend was talking with a friend of his. And I was like, what is this? And she told me, she's like, oh, we look through each other's phone. We look at each other's messages. And I was like, stop there.
Yeah.
Why? What the fuck? And it was just, no, you have to have a certain amount of secrecy, a certain amount of privacy, a certain amount of your own space. That's healthy. You don't need to be right up each other's ass on every single thing that you guys do on both ends, but there's a limit.
Yeah. CP? you're a union. You're a couple, a married couple, or a serious relationship. You are unified, but you're still two, individual people. So you need to maintain that individuality on top of, or divorced of, bad use of word, divorced of the relationship itself, because it was you, the individual, that met this other individual, and together you made something different. You as a couple are, a completely different entity, but you still need that individuality to, whatever, make things. I don't know. You drive yourself crazy if you suddenly went from Charles to we.
Ignorance is bliss in a relationship.
Yeah.
With certain things, and again, there's a limit. We're talking about innocent things here. For example, you brought up Megacon. I am not going to be sitting down with my wife and showing her a spreadsheet of the amount of money I plan on spending over this weekend to meet Michael J. Fox and Danny Trejo and all these people that are going to be there, because she does not get it whatsoever. And anything more than $5, she's going to be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
But I can afford it. It's money that I earned. We're not going to be going without anything. All the bills will be paid, and I'm going to have a good time and come home even happier and be a good husband. So there's no reason to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not hiding anything. I'm not going to lie if she actually inquires about it, but she's not going to. But that's a good example right there of just like, if my wife wanted to go off and fucking spend $300 on a Stanley Cup or some stupid shit like that, that I would not understand. I would, if she can afford it, I would rather not know about it.
The other thing to,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
To kind of tack on to the phone thing, if you're trying to, like, usually it's more often than not, it's out of jealousy, and you're trying to keep tabs on somebody, and you're looking after things. You cannot, if somebody's thinking thoughts and or doing things that you don't approve of, they're doing it anyway. You cannot control it by having access to their phone. If anything,
100%,
you're strangling that want. You're choking the relationship to death, because not only do they want that before your lack of trust, but now that you're putting this vice grip on things and making things like a jail warden. They're going to want to do it more, and they're going to resent you even more for stuff like that.
My toxic relationship with the one that was, super hot and all that, but she cheated on me with her ex, and she came back crying, dressed super hot and the fucking outfit that I love. And of course I'm a dumbass. I'm like, I'll take you back. I'm an idiot when it comes to women, but anyway,
you're a man.
I'm a man. So again, I forgave her, but I said, you know what? My mind's just a mess right now. I want access to your phone. I want all your passwords, and I want you to block him. And I thought that would be the solution. But of course, I'm just so fucked up in the head. My mind's on one thing. She's beautiful. I don't want to let her go. I don't want any other men to have her. I'm obsessed with her. It was toxic as hell. And you're right. You can, if you tell your girlfriend, wife, you better block him. That doesn't mute her emotions.
No.
Or the problem. She's eventually going to create a false account or still find a way to get a hold of that person. And it was relationships like that I had where I want access to your phone. I'm like, fuck it, why not? We'll see. And we're sharing access to the phone. And we got that program where you could monitor each other's locations. And I wasn't the one who initiated that conversation. They were the ones. And in every single one of those relationships, those women were the ones cheating or talking to their ex or some other guy.
Well, that's always the way that it works out. The person who is suspicious and like tense and nervous, they're the ones that are doing something wrong, because they realize how easy it is to do it and how easy it is to get away with it. And so they start thinking, wait a minute, is he working 8 hours every single day? When he says he's going to his friend's house, is he really going there? Is he actually going to see that movie? Like everything becomes a question now because they've done it themselves.
Projection. Yeah.
And I put a survey, and it's amazing the reactions I got, mainly from women from TikTok and on Facebook. A lot of women say, no, if you want access to my body and my, we're exchanging bodily fluids and we're one, there's no privacy. When you're taking a shit, that door is unlocked. I can walk in there anytime, and you're not allowed to bring in your phone. And this is not just one woman. This is hundreds of women who think that way. And I'm like, that's fucking
good luck
disgusting.
to them in the future.
Yeah. I mean, if your marriage, and you know what, kind of like my situation, if their husbands cheated and they kept them, all right, we're going to stay together, then that kind of makes sense, okay? Because you want to make sure
for a while.
You can't be doing that for a long time.
I've been there where there's a period of time where you don't have that trust, and until you earn it back, or until you get over it, you do kind of live in that headspace where everything's a question, everything's a concern. And the ones that actually earn their second chance and learn from their mistake, and you have a relationship that can have a second wind and survive, eventually you get over that. I cannot see a relationship getting to that point, and that stage is just forever now.
No, it's what's the point then, right? If it's that, if you have to go through those lengths to make sure they're not doing anything, then you're just wasting each other's time. So just leave. Yeah. But I mean, well, let's say no event happened and it's just no history, no cheating. There's women who want the doors unlocked, and you're not allowed to take the phone to the restroom. I'm like, that's just, first off, that's disgusting. Yeah. And I wouldn't agree to that. And two, what do you think we're doing on the phone? Oh, you guys are watching those websites. I'm like, oh, now we're talking about the porn. Okay. So is that your main concern? Yes.
You know what's funny though? And I don't have enough experience to say that like this is my circle, this is what seems to be, but I've just judging from things that I have seen, it seems that the women that have the most issue with guys looking at porn are the ones that like will only let you fuck them like once a month or something like that. You know what I mean? The ones that are just like,
there is some truth to that.
I'm not in the mood. No, you have to earn it or whatever. Like it seems like it's always like I'm going to starve you. I'm going to starve you of it, but don't you dare go anywhere else to eat. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My very, very first girlfriend did stuff like that where it was, very, very jealous, like really badly jealous, asking me if I thought like Britney Spears was attractive. And I'm like, yes. And she'd be like, why? What? I didn't realize this was a trap question, but she was like super insecure, but also at the same time, just didn't want to keep me satisfied at any way, shape or form. And I was like,
well, that's when you're young. I mean, how you said Britney Spears. That kind of makes sense when you're that age.
Yeah. But I this is sexual peak, so I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'll I'll neuter myself. Just
whatever you want me to do, just touch it.
What, once a month, once a year? Okay, sounds good. Nope, Britney Spears is the worst. Whatever you say.
Yeah, and I remember that way too. I remember I took my wife at the time to go see 300, and she was all like, "Ooh," I'll go, "Is that what you fucking want? You want that? You want that?"
Yeah.
Well, if I look like that, we'd have more sex, right? I was all stupid and jealous.
If anything,
Rudy kicks open the door. This is Sparta. Jumps in the bed.
If anything, like I'm a what you see on YouTube and the internet and everything, and on stage as I'm getting ready to do stand up again in a couple of weeks, is a exaggerated version of me, but behind closed doors. Emily is bisexual. She's the one who brings up people's tits and things when we're
awesome.
Like, just watching TV, and I'm like
high-fiving and shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what? Can you just watch the movie without noticing a pair of breasts, please?
And as a man who's married to, well, let me ask you this. This is a good question because the privacy, now there's secrecy. And the difference between the two is that the information that is in that secret pool can be damaging. You're hiding something from your spouse, whether it's like a gambling addiction, you're spending money in places you're not supposed to. That's a secret. You're hiding it from them. And I had a lot of women, I think I shared this last time with you guys, that there's a lot of people who are married 21, 23, 25, and now they're in their early 30s, and the women say they're bisexual. And I've been living a lie. I thought I can, just forget about it, but it's a need that I have where guys are saying they're bi or gay and living a lie. And I wanted to, I guess, CP, since you just said that your wife is bi, did you ever, most guys are worried about, she may leave me for another man, but is there any worry sometimes that she may leave me for a woman or a man?
No.
That never comes across. I mean, your relationship's healthy, but
not for a man. No, I'm comfortable with myself in that way.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do worry about, I mean, we've joked, and I don't know how serious the joke has been of, a third partner being a female, but
if you need a guy, just call me.
I do not want to see
the Latin lover.
He'll wear his Negan outfit.
There you go. Just a jacket and bat and no pants, right? Go Winnie the Pooh on y'all.
But the one thing, and I've spoken to my therapist about this. If she were to be like, I would like to have, go back to my lesbian roots, there's nothing I can do about that. I don't have the tools that like how best of luck.
Like it's a woman, dude. You don't. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just something that you just got to take it on the chin and
just watch in the corner and jerk off.
Yeah, hopefully. Can you film it?
I'll be the cameraman. That's I love Cody's reaction. Oh, so
glad like women again. Awesome. I mean, oh,
I got to think about that, honey. Yeah.
Oh wait, just you two. Okay. So what am I going to do?
Sit in the corner and jerk off. That's all. I'm down for whatever, baby.
19 minutes in, derailed.
Sweetheart, why is all my luggage in the living room?
Yeah. But again, you are comfortable and secure as a person yourself and in your relationship. So I can imagine if someone isn't and their wife or husband is interested in two parties, that must be double the stress or double the anxiety.
Even the the three-way, the polygamy angle, it's not something that I'm comfortable with. FFM.
Mm-hmm. What's FFM mean?
Female, male.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's not something that I'd readily jump into, but if it's
like, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, like I have a bad back.
I don't have the spinal work for that. Yeah.
well, if I've seen a lot of porn sometimes, and the porn wouldn't lie to me. Guys just sit down. That's all you got to do is not do anything. They do all the work. Never mind.
I promise you, I'll break.
Okay, never mind.
Cody, go ahead.
I don't have anything to add to that. My wife ain't going nowhere. I can tell you that. That's one thing that we're very healthy in our relationship is that I let her know constantly she's the apple of my eye, and I know that I kick so much ass that ain't nobody's gonna compete with me. So and we joke about it all the time. So
and that's good. And I remember before my marriage was ending, I think I shared the story with you guys too. Again, I was with her roughly 20 years. If you 16 married and then 5 dating, and she had offered at the end, like, instead of getting divorced, why don't we have an open marriage? You can bring other women. I can do my thing, and that can be our thing. And I know sexual, exploration was already kind of capped. It's like God of War. Like the map was 100%. I completed everything. There was nothing to do anymore.
Side quests.
There was nothing left to do, man.
I platinumed that ass. Like, I nothing else to do.
Platinum years ago. Yeah. So if we were in a healthier state, and again, this is 20 years with one person, I would have been down for it. And if you would have asked me that 10 years in or 7 years in, I would have, fuck no, dude. No, I'm the dig. I'm just like any guy would. But there comes a point, and again, this is just me speaking for myself and some other people that have emailed me, that you've done everything. You've done absolutely everything, and it's not there no more. So that fire, people just go and bring another woman or explore open marriages. But it also ends marriages too. So
it all depends, like, because you start bending on things that you were pretty firm on, just for the sake of saving the relationship and or marriage. I think the soundtrack to the final weeks, months, years of my first marriage was 5150. I don't know if you know the lyrics. Sammy Hagar. Always one more. You never meet me half the way, but you don't know what that means. Or I should have had that ready. I didn't know I'd be talking.
Sammy Hagar.
Way to fuck up the punchline. Yeah, comedian.
It's not a punchline. It was the lyrics. The lyrics of 5150 like sang to me, because like I kept like getting lower and lower on my standards just to meet my partner halfway, and they just weren't budging, and didn't know what that means.
The love line is never straight and narrow unless your love is tired and true.
It's the chorus. Always one more. Go to the chorus.
Try one or lose. Always one more. You're never satisfied. Share one for all with you. It's only one for me. Okay.
I meet you half the way, and you don't know what that means.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't look down on other people's kinks, but I just know I wouldn't be able to do an open marriage, an open relationship. Like this was the first one. Not that I have one in any case. I was commenting on what he was talking about.
Okay.
Just I love too deeply. I'm a one woman guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can call it jealousy, insecurity, whatever. It's just I wouldn't enjoy myself, and I would be insecure about the other side of it, because the only thing my mind would be focused on is like, well, what do they give you that I can't?
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and I don't know. I guess I'm old fashioned, but like when it comes to like being physical and things like that, it's all of me. I don't break a piece off for this. And then, if it's three of you, then it's, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Who's got the more valuable part? And yeah, you'll be in your head. If you're not used to doing stuff like that, you'll be in your own head forever.
Yeah. I've thought about it. Like, if I did that, it probably would have ended badly, but it would have been something we would have explored, right? I understand myself now, especially after talking to Sean last night. I interviewed him for the podcast about addiction. I do have an addictive personality, especially when it comes to social media and things. And I remember, like, when I was single, there were some women that I was so addicted to. I'm talking about their feel, their smell, their touch, the way they kissed me, the way we had sex. It was just so fucking addicting. It consumed me. Because its dopamine levels are like so high. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. I know I couldn't be part of like an open marriage, because I know what if somebody comes in and that sexual attraction and that energy and that chemistry is so fucking electric, and it's been in that space for me. You can't control it, and now you just consume with that one, and then the marriage ends over here. So I'm not wired that way. I got too much. I know how I would work if somebody came into the picture and I was just so disinfatuated with them. It would happen easily. So I couldn't do it.
Sexually, I'd have a hard time, but even like emotionally, I married my best friend. I don't know. You introduce somebody else into that equation. It's like,
yeah, that's different.
Yeah, you're a really good friend, but you're not the best.
I couldn't do that with my love witch.
I did my best, Charles.
Yeah. Video services, Cody Leach. It's like that Hulk Hogan video, but it's Cody Leach instead. Go ahead, brother. Go right. Oh, man. But
Rudy makes himself laugh.
Oh God. But again, with my God, I got all red here. Shit. I couldn't do that with my fiance now. I love her, and she is my best friend. We laugh, we have a sense of humor, and we have a level of intimacy that I've never had before. Like, for example, you guys don't have to disclose it if you don't want to, but the porn thing, I would, like, if I gave her my phone and she saw the bookmark videos that I had, it wouldn't bother me, because we've shared those videos with her. Like, sometimes we play it while we're doing it, and it's so fucking cool that was a fucking deal breaker. In my first marriage, just bringing that up with like, what the fuck you want them? Is that what you like? And they're like, well, yes, it's visual, but that doesn't mean I want to see with it. But again, it's cool that I have that. There's no barriers in my relationship now. And I purposely look for that, because I was married and I couldn't share these personal things. And I was worried if she looked at my phone that she would see that and it would start a big fight. I don't have that anymore with my fiance. And it's a wonderful freedom and a wonderful feeling that I wish other people had. Because I think that's real intimacy, when you can share fantasies like that and not feel like, oh gosh, she may be ashamed of me or things like that. It's pretty damn cool. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I know some pretty healthy relationships where it's not necessarily that example, but like the wildest sides of both partners are kind of kept in check while being embraced by the other. Like one of my best friends was an absolute whore. The entire time that I've known him, through high school, college, years afterwards or whatever. Eventually he got married, and he was the type of guy, just because he was so wild, you're like, man, is this marriage going to last? But he found a woman who's just as much of a party animal as him, but she keeps him in check. So he can have fun and he can be himself, and he can, be excited and go out and do all the crazy stuff. And she's right there with him, but she knows where to kind of cut him off, keep him in check. And they've been together for, over a decade.
That's
so,
awesome.
Healthy couples do that, where they complement each other. They don't like CP was saying, strangle the certain pieces of each other.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, I had a Dr. Kathy Nickerson on my podcast. She's an affair therapist. In other words, she helps couples kind of rebuild their relationships after an affair. And believe it or not, 70% of marriages actually stay together after an affair. And get this, I asked her, who cheats more, men or women? She goes, well, men do. And I'm like, I disagree with that. She goes, well, according to the data we have, it's true. And I'm like, okay, but
that data is probably skewed as a motherfucker.
It is very skewed because I told her this. Let me rebuttal. Women are better cheaters, aren't they? She goes, yes. They get away with it more, so it may not be recorded. And at the same token, men, believe it or not, in my opinion, and what I've seen in the data and other stories that people send me, is that women cheat more for many reasons. But when they're caught, the husband stays, but he doesn't tell the world. He doesn't tell anybody. He keeps it to himself because he's scared of the ridicule, the shame. He's embarrassed because if he confided to a friend, hey, she did this to me with this guy, and then he decides to say, and the friend says, what, you gonna fucking stay with her, dude? After she did that? Come on, dude. You kind of lose respect for him, or people look down on him.
It's a weird double standard because when the woman cheats on the man, somehow it always reflects on him as some form of weakness.
Yeah.
Or some kind of thing that he couldn't fulfill.
Yeah.
But when the shoe's on the other foot, if a man gets caught cheating on a woman, it's like empowering for her because it's like you caught him and now you're going to leave him and he's going to be miserable. And like it's exact opposite.
Yep. It is. And again, many people stay together, and it's funny how there's a disconnect. I guess I'm bringing this up because, again, you guys are in healthy relationships and I am one too. And the disconnect is that people grow apart, especially around 10 years in. They just kind of seem to become different people, or kids come into play and that starts a drift, or someone starts losing weights and working out. And wow, I'm getting attention from women or men. This is kind of new, and that temptation gets in their mind, and their mind starts going away. So it was a pretty cool conversation, but again, it's weird how there is that double standard that women, like, they're more or less, the reasons are for them cheating are the same as men. It's an emotional or physical need, and you're not getting it. And for men, you're a dog if you do it. If women do it, it's like, well, he wasn't doing his job. So it's weird to see that. And I'm like, it's fucking there. It's an obvious double standard. Come on, call it out. But you can kind of get canceled if you do. Anyway, let's talk about Child's Play. Or something. You excited about Megacon?
Equally excited and equally kind of anxious because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of people. It's very draining. I'm excited about it in the fact that I'm going to do my best to like experience the entire con this year. The last 2 years, it's mostly been just about the panels that we're doing, and then I can break away a little bit and experience it a tad, but I'm really going to work this year to literally get there as the con opens, stay there until the con ends, and try to experience as much of it as a patron as much as I am somebody who's working it. So I'm excited for it to an extent. I mean, it's always nice to meet everybody because it really balances out the craziness from the comment section, where you get the keyboard warriors, you get the negative comments and stuff. And it's easy to make that, even if there's only 1 out of 100 of them, it's easy to let that consume you. Like, everybody hates me. But you get into something like that and you get actual real world interaction with people that love your channel or love something that you recommended to them. And it just totally just washes all that stuff to the background. It's always fun doing stuff with Sean. I got my buddy Joey, the one who he was the winner of Netflix's The Circle season 1 and was on another show for them. He's going to be coming down and joining us. I'll get to meet him in person for the first time, so that'll be fun.
This is in Orlando, right? Orlando.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm super psyched because literally the first thing that we're doing as the con opens on Thursday is getting our picture taken with the Back to the Future cast.
That's cool.
Awesome. So I don't know if it's anything like when I got my picture taken with the Scream cast. You don't really get to meet them, which kind of sucks for the amount of money that you spend, but it's still going to be pretty cool. I'm tempted highly to try to stand in line and get Michael J. Fox to sign something, but they're asking for ungodly amounts of money for him and Christopher Lloyd. It's like $300 to get them to sign something, and you have to bring your own shit. They don't even have pictures there for you to pick, which is unusual. I've never seen that before. But if I could be guaranteed that I would have a minute or two to sit there and chat with them, I might consider it. But I'm very worried about how many people are going to be there, and it's literally just going to be like,
you'll have maybe a minute at the most. Depending on the line, just for the experience.
Because last year I've had differing experiences where I've met people where it's a big line, you only have a minute or so, and then I've like met Henry Winkler last year, and that guy, I mean, we're a building with 100,000 people, and I felt like it was just me and him there because he was just like, "Come over here, come on," put his hand right here. What picture would you like? And just sat there and talked, and I was telling him about how my dad grew up with his stuff, and then put me onto all of it. And so from Happy Days to the Adam Sandler movies, and now with Barry, or at the time it was the final season of Barry was getting ready to air. I was like, your work's been there my entire life. And I was like, when I was getting ready to leave, we took a picture, and I was like, I'm really excited to see how season 4 turns out. And it was so adorable. Like he did it like almost like there was nobody around us. I said, I can't wait to see how season 4 turns out. And he goes, you know what? They let me see a screener of the first 2 episodes, and it's awesome. And I was like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like my greatest experience meeting a celeb, and I kind of like, they're all going to be measured against that.
Yeah, that's probably will be the pinnacle, because I mean, that sounds like a very genuine, heartfelt experience. Most times it's very transactional. I've said many times when I was Robert Englund's assistant that he took the time. He didn't care how long the line was. He gave everybody 2-3 minutes tops and spoke to them, and he made them feel this like they're the center of the world for every moment. And I highly respect that, and to keep that up, because my social battery couldn't. But that's pretty cool, man. I would have never thought Henry Winkler, out of all people, that you would be excited to go see.
Dude, it's funny. I'm so the opposite of what you would expect and what the actual con crowds are going for, because like it's always the Star Wars people, the Cobra Kai people, the Stranger Things people that have these massive lines, and everybody that I'm interested in, they got like 2 fucking people, and I'm like, oh shit, no wait. So like Chris Saran, that I met him. The only one that I had to wait for that everybody else was in a pretty big line for was Carl Weathers. But I understand that. I mean, he's legendary. But yeah, Henry Winkler was a small line. I walked right up to Anthony Michael Hall. I thought he was closing up. He just had nobody in his line. And I was like, are you open? Am I good? He's like, yeah, come on. So yeah, I'm the opposite. Like, we're going to Megacon this week. And of course, Back to the Future is the big draw. And of course, I'm going to be a part of that hype. But after that, dude, I'm going to Danny Trejo and Juliette Lewis. You got Katie Seagal's going to be there, as I'm excited for. You've got Marissa Tomei. Oh my God.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So yeah, all the ones that I'm excited for, I'm not expecting to be like massive weights, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I hope I'm wrong, because I hope that they have other people that are excited like me, but yeah. It's always the ones that aren't selling out immediately, like the Ewan McGregor and the Hayden Christensen ones, where I'm always scrolling down to the other ones.
Yeah. Did I tell you my Charlie Hunnam story? I think I told you guys that before. Have I?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't remember it. So
I was part of a group of handlers to help with the Sons of Anarchy crew. I had never seen Sons of Anarchy before, and I remember looking outside and just seeing every woman, mom, their daughters of all ages, dressed incredibly sexy, and just and I'm like, I'm just flirting with them because I have nothing else to do, right? So I'm waiting for the guests. I'm like, who are you here to see? Oh, Charlie Hunnam. Oh my God. And they're just all excited. I'm like, who's he? And they go, have you seen the show? I'm like, no. And I go to the handler and go, all these women apparently are attracted or can't wait to see Charlie Hunnam. I go, oh yeah, dude. I mean, he's a heartthrob, and these women, every city we go to, they're just throwing panties at him. They want to have sex with him. We have to keep security so they don't go, try to sleep with him or go to his hotel room, bang on the door.
What a life.
Like, really? And I just kind of got on the ladder to kind of put some lighting up, and there was a line, and it blew my mind to see thousands of women, hundreds of women in line who were just drop dead, just panting, can't wait to see a guy. And I was just there in the room, just watching, hating, because all these women were coming up to him and hugging him and getting photos with him. But I have never seen that many women just in love with a man.
I'll tell
and the
you
guy
what,
was super cool. He was my height.
He seems like he's a really cool guy. But he was almost gonna get the lead role in 50 Shades of Grey, and I don't remember if it was him that fell through or if they just chose to go with somebody else. But I guarantee you, if he would have got that role, that could have been like $1 billion fucking movie.
Yeah, it could have.
Yeah.
I remember he had a bad back, like the people saying, "Don't let anybody tell people not to touch him," because the women are going and they'll throw themselves on him. But he had hurt his back doing something, so he was like, "You can't touch him." Usually, you can put your arms around the celebrities, and he was kind of doing this, like the woman's right here, so he's not making contact. His hand was away from her waist and not touching her, which I see a lot of celebrities starting to do. Keanu Reeves does that as well. But you weren't allowed to touch him.
Hand thing.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, accusations, whatever the case is, just to be sorry or respectful. But yeah. I saw that. I could not believe that, man. But I haven't been part of a con in quite some time, but it's pretty fun.
It is. I've only been to Megacon. You know, for the longest time, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do it, and so the last 2 years I went with Sean. And first year didn't really experience much of it. Last year experienced a bit more. This year I'm ready to kind of go all out. And then like 2 weeks after that, I'm going to go the other direction north to Mad Monster in North Carolina and check out a horror con for the first time. They always have Spooky Empire that's in Orlando. That's a big one. They always have a couple of them in Atlanta, and I always just kind of pass on them. But I might start to do a little bit more con stuff. I'm not as interested in like going the Sean route and always trying to work them necessarily. I'll always be there for whatever Sean wants to do, but I definitely want to go check them out just as a fan and experience them a bit more.
Yeah. I had a great interview with him last night. I had an hour and a half with him, and I asked, "Hey, Sean, how's it going?" I asked him a question, and he's talking. I'm like, that was a 20-minute answer. Holy shit, we're going to need more time. And I'm like, do you have a hard out at 7:30? He's like, no, we're good. We're good. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a long conversation, but I'm cool with it. And we got to, his childhood and the addiction piece. And it was very cool. I mean, like that episode's going to be out this week. And cool. We talked about the cons. And I'm like, what's your next step? I mean, YouTube's there, but what do you got next? And he's talking about the cons and kind of opening those doors and see where that goes. But just hearing his schedule and how much work it takes. Because again, you're going and there's the fun part of it, right? Going to meet people and all that. But if you're in charge of a panel and, slideshows and, getting everybody on, you're kind of coordinating the herd. Like you've kind of invited these people. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. All of us are creators. You're kind of wrangling people in. Some people are easy to work with. Some people are not. Just kind of managing all that. It's a lot, but just to see that hustle in him is pretty cool. I admire that.
Yeah, it is. He very much gets into work mode whenever you're there. Like I almost have to remind him, like, Sean, we need to eat.
Have fun.
Yeah.
We're talking because he's like an elder millennial. We're talking about childhoods, and I want to ask you guys your opinion on this because we're talking about how our kids nowadays are just so like, I can't believe you're not going to let me have my iPad, Dad, because of the screen time you're trying to monitor that. And they're just complaining that's the end of the world. And he and I, it's funny how our childhoods were the same. Like we were by ourselves a lot. We would ride our bikes for miles away from the house and drink water from the water pump outside. And nowadays, we won't even let our kids go down the block or much less outside just to get their feet on the grass.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how we may be depriving our kids of survival skills when they get into the real world. And I'm kind of seeing that with my daughter in a sense that she's got a lot of anxiety and stress. But there's just so many introverts now with young kids, and they're just nervous about the world. And maybe it's their phone. Sean thinks it's the cell phones and just the news. And you're just hearing all this horrible things that are happening consistently compared to us when we were growing up. We only had the television, and whether you're watching it or not, you didn't hear about it.
Whatever your parents brought in the house.
Exactly. And he thinks that's the difference between kids because he counsels kids as well. And he kind of sees that as well. But we're thinking maybe we are, because I remember when I would go play with my friends, and this is in the 80s, we'd be on our bikes, just like in Stranger Things. And I remember we would be going down a hill or somewhere, and I would be the last one. Everyone was taller than me or stronger, and they were leaving me behind. I'm like, and then the survival instinct kicked in, like, holy shit, I don't want to be by myself or be left behind. So I started pedaling faster, but it was fear that maybe keep up with them, or we were doing something stupid and we started running and I'm the last one. I'm like, no, that survival instinct kicked in. So I just ran faster and thought about other things to try to catch up with them. But my kids have never experienced that, or our generation kids haven't experienced that.
I try to have a balance. I'm very protective of my kids. I want to know, I'm the type of parent, I want to know where you're at all times. I want to know what time you're getting there. I want to know who's going to be there. I want to know what time you're leaving. I want to know who you're going to be with. Like I want all the details. And there's so many parents that I interact with that just don't give a fuck. They're like, I don't know where they're at, somewhere out in the world. And that terrifies me. But I try to balance it out with just kind of really not holding back about how the world is with my kids. Like my son more so than any of them because he's older. But like, when when there's certain things that allow for that conversation, I don't really pull any punches. Like when he slacks off, or if he doesn't handle his responsibilities, whatever, I always try to relate it to real life. I'm like, dude, like I'm your dad. I have to listen to your bullshit. When you eventually get out into the world and you have an employer and you just don't wake up on time, they don't fucking care. They're not obligated to keep you around because you're their kid. They will boot your ass and then you're out of a job and everything else. Like, you don't really have consequences beyond losing your PlayStation for a week or whatever. Like, you don't really know what consequences are. And even when things are in a different route, like last year, he got in a fight in school. Some kid took one of those little old shitty jerseys that you'd put on for gym class, and towel snapped him in his eye, and my son punched him in the face. And in the new world, both of them are at fault. Both of them get suspended for the same amount of days, which I went to the school and said is absolute bullshit. I'm like, how do you have camera footage and an entire class and a teacher that is saying that this kid assaulted my kid and he defended himself, and your message is that they're both wrong and they both go home for the same amount of time? Explain that to me. And it's all just lawsuits and blah, blah, blah. And you can't retaliate. I'm like, well, fuck that. He's going to retaliate. So I took him to the movies. I said, enjoy your day off. I guess we're going to have fun. But that was my opportunity to be like, that's an example of things are rarely fair in the real world. Even if you're right, sometimes you get fucked over, and sometimes the people that are wrong get away with shit. And this is just a small example of that. So I try to find ways to try to convey how life is going to be, to prepare them mentally without them having to get the scrapes and the bruises and get kidnapped to get those experiences. Because another thing with him that I try to hammer home is like trying to battle that teenage invincibility stupidity, where kids just, they don't think that they're capable of being hurt, or they don't think that they're capable of, whatever. And so like even small stuff, like there was a time whenever he was going to go, he runs every once in a while because he's an ROTC. So I'm going to go for a run. Okay, go ahead. And then he didn't come home, and he was off hanging out with a friend over in the neighborhood, which was fine, but we were going to dinner. So I went and drove around the neighborhood to go pick him up, and him and like 3 other kids his age were in the little playground area with their shirts off with boxing gloves, like boxing each other. And I'm like, get in the fucking car. And I said, I understand you're trying to have fun. I said, but think about this. None of you have any protective gear on. None of you know what the fuck you're doing. If you break your nose, who pays for it? You. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, this is the little tiny things that you don't think about, that eventually in adulthood you're going to have to think about, because everything that you do in the real world when you don't have mommy and daddy there for you, you have to pay for, and you have to have the repercussions for, even if it seems fun. And you might not have anything happen to you, but if you do, guess what? Now you got doctor's bills, you got fucking surgery, you got all this other shit. Insurance goes
scar your face, something.
Yeah, just because you want to be a fucking dumbass 16-year-old. So, I haven't got to the point where I have to have those conversations with my daughter yet. That's going to be very different, because you handle boys different than you handle girls. But
completely different. But
you're
right, Charles.
No, I just don't have kids, so
he's just getting exhausted.
I know. I just saw your face.
He experienced my family for like 4 days, and he's like,
no, I was reacting to when his daughter grows up. Oh,
the youngest. Yeah,
that. For good and bad reasons. That is going to be a volcano.
Yep.
Yeah. We, I often see, and I want to avoid this because, again, I'm very hard on my kids, especially, and I love my son living with me, and I'm glad, he stays with me, but 98% of the time, and then he goes with his mom also some of the time. And he and his mom said, no, she said, he needs to stay with you in like Boys in the Hood, right? She says, yes, like Boys in the Hood. He needs his dad. So that's exactly.
I can't teach him how to be a man.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm rough on him. We talk about sex. I talk about, consequences of sex, things like that. And don't be doing anything stupid. I know it may feel good and this and that, but think about it. You want to be in a rock band. You want to start, you want to have practice. You want to do all these things, start a business, all that shit you can throw out the fucking door, because now you got to work and buy Pampers and pay for a kid and put food in their mouth. I'm not, things like that. Just keeping it real with him. And he likes that. He can talk to me about anything, and he has.
Yeah, but I don't want to have kids young.
My dad
my mom have a young.
Sorry. My dad was a single parent, and yet with me, he pulled no punches. Like we still joke about it to this day, because I was way too young to be educated on some of the things I was educated on. I mean, to the point where when they first started having sex ed in school, it was like, does anybody know? Me, I do. I know the answer. Yeah. And so, yeah,
I remember we took sex ed as juniors. And they're talking about what is a discharge that comes out of the male penis, and I was looking at the multiple choice. I was like, "Where's cum?"
Exactly.
Oh, sperm. Okay.
Ejaculate. What is the most effective form of preventing disease? Pulling out. Wrong. Yeah.
But I find it, you hear the story all the time, like celebrities who've made it, who came from a rough childhood, like, Joe Rogan and a few others, they had it rough and they kind of fought through and overcame obstacles, and they became successful people. And now their children, they have it very easy. And I've seen Dave Chappelle make a few jokes sometimes that his kid may not be street ready or ready for the world. And something Hughley, that one guy, the black comedian, he says about that. Yeah, D.L. Hughley. They've all said the same thing. And I think we all as parents want to give our kids the best life possible, but at the same time, we don't want to make it too easy, because then the first failure or something that's coming hard in their life is going to destroy them, and they don't know how to handle that adversity.
Me and my wife talk about that all the time. That's one of my biggest insecurities is I always want to make my kids happy. I always want to provide them with things that they need, of course, but even things that they want. And I have the means to do so. But then I always second guess myself. I'm like, am I damaging them by never having to have them like sit and want for things
and work for
like
it.
I buy every fucking movie that comes out. They never have to ask for a movie. Like I think about my childhood. I'm like, Dad, please, can we get this? And you got to go work on the fine. Fuck it. I'll rake.
Yeah. Cut grass, something.
Yeah. And they don't really have that to an extent. And like, I have chores, I have expectations, and I do have them earn their things, but not to the degree that I had. They don't hear no as much as I did. And significantly, less than my parents did. So I do worry about that.
We only got things like we only got video games or gifts on Christmas or our birthdays.
I didn't have it that rough, but
yeah, that's I grew up poor. That's the only time we actually got something. So asking for it outside of those dates was not an option.
Yeah. I worry about that a lot, and I don't know. All I can do is try my best, and hopefully, when they're an adult, they're like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah,
try my best.
Let's get CP in the conversation. All right.
Nah.
No.
No.
Come on, we need that comedy hijinks from you, man. Come on, tell us a joke, fucker. And, had you seen the show, The Marvelous?
I have not.
Miss Maisel? You have to check it out, dude.
I called an audible and I started watching Better Call Saul because I never caught up with it, and I'd like to finish the Breaking Bad universe.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm watching Reacher currently. I'm 3 episodes into season 2 and loving that. So
is that big guy, that really huge dude? Somebody described it on TikTok.
It's based off of a series of books. You had the Jack Reacher movies that Tom Cruise did, but I never read the book, so I didn't give a fuck. I thought the first one was good. I didn't like the second one. But the books, he's a giant fucking guy. He's like 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a fucking Hulk. And so the fans of the books hate those movies because they're like, Tom Cruise is a fucking midget. What the fuck is this? Yeah. And the TV show is like literally each season is adapting one of the books.
Oh, okay.
And if you like old school breakneck bare knuckle action movies, it's that with a little bit of like murder mystery espionage. It's just the appeal is seeing a gigantic dude beat the living fuck out of bad guys.
Somebody described it on TikTok. If you want a show about a large man who goes from town to town solving problems and using his size and strength to solve them and beat up people, watch Reacher. And I'm like, I thought they were describing the Incredible Hulk for a second because that was the show.
Yeah. Well, like season 2 opens up and he's standing behind a woman at an ATM and he looks over and he kind of like sees in the reflection that she's panicked. And he looks around, he sees a car waiting, and he's like, "Hey, don't turn around. Are you being carjacked right now?" Yeah. He's like, "Okay, stay here." And he goes and fucking pulls off his jacket and fucking busts through, beats the living fuck out of the guy and throws him out of the car, and then opens the thing and gets the key. He's like, "Here you go to your mom." So there's scenes like that where you just get to sit back and enjoy just bad people just getting the fuck kicked out of them.
I thought you were gonna say like he was gonna go like commando, get the car and flip the car over. That would have been cool.
Oh no, he's not Vin Diesel.
Rudy, another reason that I will not watch stand-up related content, even if it's fiction, is because subconsciously I'm worried I might soak up some sort of something.
Oh,
especially if I'm like writing for myself right now. So
yeah.
I try to avoid like stand-up specials and anything like that.
I do the same thing before reviews. If Cody has seen the movie first, I'm not going to watch his review because I might steal something from him or
we all have a policy.
Yeah. Opinions are like assholes. Like, fuck, I did not see that, right?
It's so easy to do. It's
Yeah.
so easy to do because I'm the same way. Because you could, the problem is like, especially if you watch a review before you watch a movie. I won't do that either because I've way in the past I noticed like if you watch something like from the people that get to see screeners or whatever, you hear their positives and their negatives, and then you go into the movie and subconsciously you're kind of looking for them, and so you'll notice what they said and agree or disagree, and you might not have even thought of that while you're watching it, and so inadvertently you're kind of aping their thoughts and just giving your own regurgitated version of it.
Yeah.
It's even to a point where like I think even if it's a movie that I know I have interest in, trailers, 90% of them I try to avoid.
I've all but stopped watching trailers unless it's something that I'm super excited for, and even if it is, I only watch the first trailer or the teaser. Like they just had the Ghostbusters trailer. I think they had released like 2 or 3 different versions of it 2 days ago. I won't watch it because I'm already there. If I'm sold, I don't. Especially with horror. Horror is the worst. Or they'll show you fucking third act shit. I'll tell you the trailer.
Yeah.
Blumhouse, he openly admits, he's like, I'm sorry, guys. This marketing data says that this makes the movie succeed because fucking younger generations want the whole movie in 2 minutes.
He just puts his dick on the table like, yeah, it's all there, buddy.
Yeah. But I'll tell you the trailer that ruined me was the movie Sinister from like 2012, 13, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer is literally the entire movie in 2.5 minutes. It's all the way to like the final reel. And when I saw the movie, like I wanted to love it because there was so much about it that I really enjoyed. But I'm like, I know every fucking thing that's going to happen because I saw the trailer. And so ever since that trailer, especially with horror, if the premise has my ass in the seat, I won't even watch the trailer. I just go in blind, and it's such a better experience.
The one that ruined it for me was Batman v Superman, because there was the first trailer that I loved, and then the second one,
I think that showed Wonder Woman and
Doomsday, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why'd you have to do that? Because I knew Batman. Someone hope there's a private chat. Okay, well, we're not live, so you can just say it. You don't have to put it in the private chat. But yeah, I remember seeing that. I was really super disappointed because I knew they were going to only fight for a little bit, and then who were they going to fight is what I was curious about. And I had my suspicions, but then you see Doomsday in that last trailer. I'm like, those sons of bitches, man. That just ruined it for me.
It kind of ruins the concept too when you show them resolved at the end, or they're fighting against something. It's like, okay, so I mean, if you've seen enough movies, you know they're not going to be at odds the whole movie, but you don't want to see that.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
I hate it. Sometimes they can market trailers brilliantly, and sometimes it's just like Barbarian last year was perfect, where I didn't watch the trailer, but out of curiosity, I watched it after seeing the movie, and I was like, holy fuck, they didn't show you anything past the first 15 minutes.
And that's good. And I really hope more producers actually replicate that, because I think I said that year in one of your lives that was a genuine, one of the best theater experiences I've had in a very long time. It was like, what? Why are we cutting to California now? It's like, what's going on? It was the not knowing what's going to happen was wonderful. And I crave that. I want that again. It's unfortunate, but I think they have no choice. Like that Blumhouse guy said, that it's the internet, and, know that the relevance, they have to put clips, they have to put, little bits and pieces of information out there to get people talking about it, and the YouTube channels to be talking about it. But by that time, you more or less know all the Easter eggs, all the surprise visits. Like the whole X-Men, the whole Deadpool and Wolverine. 3. I did not want to see Hugh Jackman's outfit on a with a picture from the on-set, the production. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, it sucks having to do what we do because you can't avoid it. And you could try your damnedest, and you'll find a way where people will put it in the comment section, whether they intend to fuck you over or not. Sometimes people just do it accidentally or not even thinking, and it kills me. I did like how Ryan Reynolds responded to that, though, because there was just so many leaked pictures from the set showing all these different things. And so he just started leaking his own pictures, and he like superimposed Predator in there and superimposed some other shit. And so I was like, that's a pretty fucking good tongue in cheek way to say, stop spoiling the fucking movie.
Yeah. That's the one comic book movie I'm actually looking forward to this year. I mean, that, and there's the Joker 2. I mean, that's not a comic book movie, but
I mean, beyond that, it's just nothing but Sony Spider Villainverse movies, all of which I'm just like, no thanks.
I'll go check out Madam Web. Like I said,
I'm expecting nothing from Madam Web, and I mean, I'm going to see all of them and hope they're all good, but I'm expecting nothing from that one. I'm expecting nothing from Craven. I really didn't like the last Venom, so I don't know. I don't really know if I care about Venom. Joker, I'm curious about, but it just depends on how much of a musical it's actually going to be. I don't know if it's just going to be a couple of sequences in their head or if the whole movie is going to be that way. I'm not a musical guy, so that could really ruin it, even if it's something unique.
You see, I'm not a musical guy either, but I love the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers is a musical in my
Never seen it.
Really? Yeah, it's something I grew up with. My parents loved Saturday Night Live, so I remember that was one of the first SNL movies, shows to be skits to be a movie. Yeah. And the music's great, man. I love it. But it's a musical now. Not many people consider it a musical. I also love Little Shop of Horrors. That's a musical. I love Grease. Again, I won't go see what's the one that came out? Mean Girls?
La La Land and Mean Girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's not for me, though.
I love Willy Wonka. That's the only one.
Yes.
And that's genuinely one of my favorite movies of all time. Like just a definition of comfort movie. If I just want to feel good.
Willy Wonka?
Willy Wonka. And the original. I did like Wonka, though.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I remember you saying you enjoyed it. And somebody's uncle sent me a care package, so I'll be able to catch up. Yeah. I'm sorry, my short-term memory. It reminds me I'd like to have you guys on to discuss at least the first half of 2024 and what movies will look like due to the fact that this is the aftermath. Like, we're going to be dealing with.
I can tell you that January has been fucking abysmal.
Yeah.
This is literally the worst month of movies since the pandemic, to where like I just, the movies that did come out, like Night Swim and shit, I was just like, this sucks. And then I'm searching. Exactly. I'm searching for other things to watch, and it's just like Kevin Hart Netflix movie, or the only other horror movie that was released this month. Didn't hear anything good about it. It was one of those like Regal mystery movie nights, Founders Day. But now that it's actually opened, it's not playing anywhere within 2 hours of me. And I'm like, well, I'm not driving 2 hours to see a movie that I'm probably not going to like. And so when I do my ranking of movies I've seen in January, there might be like 3 fucking movies on that list.
Yeah, I mean, there's like maybe 5 to 10 stragglers that I wouldn't even call A style, A plus, B plus quality movies that were in post-production prior to the strike that I wouldn't, hang my hat on any of them, but once those start trickling through, it's slim pickings, and it's going to be a really interesting year, especially considering how shitty 2023 was.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, I know your channel's bigger than mine, right? But whatchamacallit, I saw you put a tweet about CPM just plummeting. Like the YouTube range.
Oh, it does every single year. Every single year it does. I actually I didn't really feel it until the first year that I went full time, and I messaged Sean in like a panic. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, it happens, dude. Like, it'll pick back up around March or so. But the holiday, the September through November. Man, I'm just even like, December. Fuck yeah, man, high rolling. And then you get to January, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta eat ramen. It's just
you get a PS5. You get a PS5.
Yeah.
You get a PS5.
Is that an inside joke?
No, it's just
I literally have a PS5 in like every room in my house. So it's
No, you don't. You seriously do?
No, he has one up
I bought
down.
one. Yeah, I bought one. Hey, look, it's my wife's fault, because if I don't go to bed with her, she's like, "Where are you going in there to play your game?" I'm like, "Fine." So I bought one for my bedroom so that I could play in there.
It's her fault.
It is. Hey, she can't defend herself, so I'm gonna definitely blame her. And then I ended up buying one in the living room so that we could play things together. So I literally have 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs.
Okay,
I did that too, though. To defend Cody when I was with the ex, we had an upstairs PS4, a downstairs PS4, a bedroom PS4, and we had 2 Xbox Ones.
Because, what I love about the PS5 specifically is that it syncs with the cloud storage. So if I stop a game in here and I go in my bedroom, it just goes,
that's awesome.
And you just start in seconds right where you were. There's no transferring discs and shit. And
that is awesome. Rudy, we had more PS4s than we had humans in our house.
Yeah. I love the PS4.
That's a little excessive.
I think that's my favorite. PlayStation out of the 5. I mean, the 5, I honestly don't see or feel anything special because I've been PS1 loyal since day one, right? And people were giving me shit. You should have waited for the fucking 64, dude. I mean, this is gonna be like the Jaguar. No one's gonna give a shit about this. And there's been a generational graphical experience, like a bump with every one of these. Like, wow, look at this, it can do this, it can do this, along with the DVD and Blu-ray. And but the PS5, it feels like a lateral. I mean, I know it systematically has more, but you need a TV to see that.
I'll tell you the two big differences that the PS5 had over the PS4. I agree with you. Graphically, that's always like on surface level. That's like the big jump. You're like, oh my god, and you didn't have that with PS5. It looks better, but not enough to really get excited about. The two big differences from going PS4 to PS5 is load times, especially if you play something like Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 2. It's literally like all of New York, basically. And you can fast travel from this part of New York to this part of New York in like 2 seconds. No loading screens, nothing. It's just you're there. And that's fucking incredible. The other one, which when they were talking about this before the system came out, I was like, that's a bunch of bullshit. Don't get the fuck out of here. It's the controller. It's the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers and everything. I was like, dude, get that gimmick shit out of here. Who the fuck cares about the controller? And then as soon as you play the PS5 and you go to draw a bow and the shit tightens, or you play something like Returnal and you're in a rainstorm and you feel all the raindrops like in you're like, holy fuck, this is the best controller ever. Like those are the two big differences for me.
I just wish a fully charged controller would last more than 2 hours. You have to recharge those damn things all the damn time.
Well, I'll tell you a little trick for that. Next time you turn your PS5 on, go into your device settings and make sure you switch your light bar to dim.
Oh yeah, that's
the little light bar thing. It automatically defaults to like medium or whatever. If you switch it to dim, it extends your life by like a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
Rudy, you won't appreciate the speed until you go back and play something like Resident Evil 1 when you wait for the door to open, because that's its secret way of loading the next room. And it's
that was like, suspense, though. That was suspense.
Sure.
And I love the fact, even though this apparently was a feature on PS4, I never knew it had it. Maybe it was added later. I love the fact that you can stream directly from your PS5. You just put in your YouTube info and you literally just click the button and you're live.
Yes.
And you can even have the chat pop up on the screen if you want to and interact with everybody while you're doing live.
I don't know.
That I experimented with that once and I failed epically because Cody kept because I had it with the voice recognition. Every time a chat came up, a voice would read it. And I think Cody kept sending messages or something over to me because I was playing
I was like,
Resident Evil 4.
Big titties.
Like, fuck. But God of War, I was playing that. I did a whole video on that and it didn't feel like a review. I just kind of wanted to talk about why it took me so long to get used to the controllers. But that whatever you call like that rotor that kind of vibrates to what's going on, I kind of felt the difference when I was sledding with these dogs in that Midgard, and you go from snow to ice and you can feel the difference between the two textures. Like, whoa, this is nice.
Yeah. The most prominent one, probably because it was one of the earlier games, was this game Returnal. That's it's pretty cool, where you're trapped on a different planet and every single biome you go to is a different atmosphere. And when you got into the one with rain, you literally felt like raindrops all over the place. And I was like, this is fucking wild, because usually up until the PS5, it's just the handles. It would just do that.
Yeah.
And this has them all over the place.
It would just rumble. That's all it would do.
Psycho Mantis and shit.
Yeah, there's this game I downloaded because I have that PlayStation monthly whatchamadoodle. It's a rat plague game or something like that. I saw a lot
that's
of
a good one. Requiem
I'm gonna try that.
Tale.
Yeah. There's this woman's running. I saw that clip of it on TikTok with this woman's running. There's a wave of
you gotta play it. You gotta play it for a couple hours before you get to that stuff. I forget who I was trying to encourage to play it, and they kept putting it off because they're like, it's just walking and talking. Maybe it was you. But yeah. You by chapter 3 or whatever, you get into the rat plague, and that shit's cool because it's like puzzles. You have to actually figure out ways to make the rats move, and you can throw water on the torches when near enemies, and the light goes out, and the fucking rats come and eat them alive. And cool game. Yeah,
I'll be playing that next. Because I think I'm still playing God of War. Like I said, I beat the game, and I'm not going to beat those gravestone marker challenges. They're way too fucking hard, dude. So I think I'm going to walk away with it. Walk away from it. Stop. Shut up. I'm going to walk away from the game and play Valhalla. I've had it on easy. I haven't told the story, dude. This entire time, man. I'm like, fuck this. This damn lizard dragon's been killing me for an hour.
On hard. I'm all that is man.
Dude, I literally felt Cody yell through text this morning when I was talking about Last of Us 2, the remastered. And I was just like, I wasn't complaining. I had a nitpick about like a cutscene thing. And he's like, how dare you complain about less Joel? I was like, dude, I'm just saying it was an awkward spot.
The segment in Last of Us 2 where you play as Ellie and it's a flashback with Joel where you go to the museum.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the little space shuttle sequence. He's like, that kind of slowed the pace down. I was like, don't you fucking say that.
That was a wonderful moment. Like, whoa, showed them connecting. All right.
Yeah, but like there it's like sandwiched. But listen, it's beautiful. I love it. You don't. I'm not complaining. I'm just, the location of it is a little disjointed. Somewhere else is where I'd like it, because you have this great big. This is where you first see those like blobby eyeball monster things,
shamblers or whatever.
Yeah, and they puke green stuff, and then you have the WLF, and I think that's what I'm up to right now. And like it's just like separated by this. Oh, by the way, Dina's pregnant. Oh, and by the way, guys, I don't know if I purposely ignored it because I hadn't played it yet, but since we had spoken to Lauren Lavera, how would you guys feel about her as Dina if they were to cast for?
Well, they already cast.
I'm just saying, you know.
I think she'd be great in that, or as Abby. But yeah, I think I joked
more
about
like Dina, like, you know, just based on like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if they had if they were actually going with the age that the characters are in the game, yeah, she'd be great for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, Lauren's like 64 or whatever.
and I get what you're saying, CP, when it comes to that break, you know, things are moving, you know, a certain momentum, and then you go to this museum and have a moment with them. I can understand that, but to me, the biggest break was playing as Abby, because I didn't give a fuck about playing as Abby.
Before you get into all that,
don't spoil too much.
Yeah, before you get into all that, he texted me last night and he was like, yeah, I'm itching to play the game again because I think I'm near the end. And he's playing as Abby right now, and he hasn't even gotten to the hospital segment where you kill the chick in the red. You know what I'm talking about? He hasn't gotten.
No, I'm Ellie. I'm Ellie with Dina.
I know. That's what I
have you played as Abby?
You said Abby.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The Ronda Rousey chick.
Yes. So he's still playing as Ellie.
Wow.
And he hasn't gotten to the hospital section yet.
Oh my God.
He's like, I'm almost done. I said, no, you're not even halfway.
No. You got a ways to go. I think you're on Tuesday or something. I don't know. You got to look a whole week and a half, man. It's a while.
Yeah, dude, I was like fired up. I was like, let me keep going. Let me keep going. And I was like, all right, I'm nowhere close. Let me stop for now. Because somebody said you're about 80% done.
No.
And I was like,
with you.
Maybe 30.
Let me. Oh my God.
Yeah, you got a ways to go, man.
I just thought it was awesome that you got to play as Abby is the Ronda Rousey looking chick. Like you're running, and then Joel and Tommy are helping you, and then
that's the beginning.
Something happened. No, I know. I just love the juxtaposition of, like, you think, oh, here's another character that I have to play this game as, and you know, maybe this person joins the group, and you know, we'll get to know this person. I mean, you're doing things. Joel is helping you, and then
yes,
that comes to an end.
Yep. And
I was like, I'm glad I'm streaming it, because you can literally just hear me lose my shit. Like, what the hell is this?
I'll never forget that moment too. It was like, what? Really? Yeah. And by that time, the rumors of the internet were already kind of spoiling it. I just didn't know when. I expected it later in the game, not the first fucking 20 minutes.
See, I must have been one of the only people when they released the teaser for that game years before it came out, when it was just her playing the guitar as an older girl, and then Joel is like almost like in shadows, almost in the doorway, and he's like, "Hey, girl," like that teaser. I was like, I feel like this is going to happen. And so I always thought that maybe that's what softened the blow for me, because I love the game. But yeah, they don't fuck around.
No.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 times I'm like, is this what's pissing the internet off?
No, you haven't gotten to most of it yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
we'll have, I loved when you finally beat the game in December.
Absolutely. Of 2027.
When you finally beat the game, I would love to do a live stream chat.
Absolutely.
Because I'm itching to play through the game again and maybe stream it too. Because the remaster just came out. Have you played the No Return, the little bonus game that came with it?
No, I was told I shouldn't play it until I have not finished too.
I would agree. I would agree. Play through the game, but the No Return thing, I played around a little bit with it last night. It's really fucking fun. It's like a roguelite thing where you have like 7 stages, and each one of them is like a certain type of enemy is either hunting you, or it's just waves of enemies you got to survive. And you're trying to get to level 7, which is a boss battle. And if you die at any point, you go back to the beginning.
Oh,
and you unlock new skins and new characters, and
that's neat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's fun.
I need to check it out.
It's awesome.
You can buy you have the PS4 version, Rudy. You can buy the remaster upgrade for $10, and it includes all of that. And then when you put in your disc, it's the remastered version with all the new shit.
Okay, I'll consider it. But right now, ever since, like I said, I got my head out of my own ass and played God of War, and I kind of got used to like these multiple worlds that you got to complete, and the freedom to do it. I think I'm going to complete Spider-Man first, and then Spider-Man 2.
No, play Spider-Man and then play Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Okay. I'm going to play that because I'm used to that world now. The patience.
Those games are fantastic. But yeah, Miles Morales is basically a pseudo sequel, and then Spider-Man 2 is a sequel to both of those games.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're not as long as God of War, right? As far as hours, maybe.
No. Especially if you don't do all of the side quests and everything like that, like I do, like a fucking.
I did too.
Jackass. Yeah,
and I purposely did MCP so I can learn how to fucking block and parry, like in God of War. There's so many things. I'm like, what's this runic do? And I was fucking hitting buttons, and I'm like, what did I do? I mean, it's just all these weird things. Like, it's magical, and I'm not used to spells and all these other options. Just give me 3-4 options tops. Don't give me 20 of them, because then my ADHD brain will be like, what do I do?
Yeah, the reason
like
I
Kombat,
always
you go to the hit list or the controls.
Oh yeah,
Mortal Kombat. You scroll up, there's 100 of them. Like, fuck this, dude.
I don't have Mortal Kombat brain. I get like 5 or 6 moves that I'm good with, and then I stick with that the whole time.
Yeah,
I used to love in the first God of War game. I had this move where I would throw my axe at somebody, and then I would run and I would jump in the air, and then I would retrieve it, and then you come down like fucking rain of fire. I used to use that on a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the combo with the Blades of Chaos, where I can just like, and then pull them back, and I shoulder charge them, or just kind of flip them in the air, and I keep them in the air. I just have them like Killer Instinct. It's just like floating in the air, dude, until they fall to pieces.
Damn right.
So I had fun with it, but I want to get finished Spidey. I want to start all over with Spidey, because like I only completed 5 hours before I quit. Like, Spidey, my dog's missing. Like,
the story in all 3 of those games is incredible. They're some of the best Spider-Man stories that I've seen, so I can't recommend those games enough.
Better than the movies, I bet.
Quite a few of them.
Spider-Man, are you guys like in the same pool with me? I think Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire is still the best one of all.
Yes.
See, we're all in agreement. Yeah.
That's in my top 5 comic book films of all time. But I love that entire trilogy. Even 3, for all its faults, I love that whole trilogy.
Yeah.
You missed it, Rudy. I actually had somebody who brought that up as a negative, and I almost lost my tongue when I was
some fucking kid who's like 15 years old, doesn't know shit.
No, it's there's this like I don't know. There's just like internet brain where people like critique film based on reality, and like
that shit where like if the fucking cup moves in the shot, they say it's a flaw in the movie. Fuck, I can't.
The starting point was I don't believe Spider-Man 2 very much, because the police would have had a helicopter. I'm like, what? the police and Spider-Man, you know, one of the best superhero movies ever because the police didn't show up with a helicopter. Get out of here.
That's what
the only thing that you can point out about Spider-Man 2 that I absolutely acknowledge, but it's kind of funny that's a bit bullshit, is like the whole plot with Doc Ock where he's trying to steal money to buy all these things to recreate that device, and it's like, why don't you just steal the shit that you need?
It's too comic booky, especially when he's in the bank robbing the money and it comes in those satchels with the dollar sign. It's like, come on.
That's Sam Raimi style, though. Very much.
And that's what makes it charming. That's why I love it.
Yeah. The internet's gotten too focused on like that wouldn't happen in real life, and it's like, yeah, but you wouldn't have a movie. Oh, you know, Spider-Man wouldn't have been bit by the spider. Yes, then you don't have a movie. Then you have a field trip, movie over. That's it. Like you need these things. It's fiction. It's fiction. Like this one over here with the police in Die Hard.
What?
His wife didn't like Die Hard because of the main guy from Breakfast Club. If I'm remembering correctly.
The grab the bull by the horns guy.
Shooting
at the lights.
He wasn't listening. Shooting at the lights.
I saw that movie in theaters for the first time this past December, and it was so much fun. I was the only person in the theater. Didn't give a fuck. I was just
awesome.
Just watch it for the millionth time.
That movie, it's got a momentum that I love. As soon as it starts, it just never lets go. I love it, and it's hardly.
We're missing that so much nowadays.
Yes.
That's the heart of what people are saying when they say movies are too fucking long nowadays, and it's true. It's true. Like the biggest example for me was The Holdovers, a movie that's very good. That's like Oscar consideration. Everybody's gushing over it, and then I watched it, and I'm like, this is good. This is heartwarming. This is sweet. But why is it 2 hours and 20 minutes long? Like it's one of those classic feel good, like John Hughes type feeling movies, but 2 hours and 20 minutes of it. And it's like, what the movies that I watch the most that are my favorites that I continuously just watch every single year, like Uncle Buck and The Ref and Tommy Boy, like 90 minutes. You can watch it and you don't have to invest your entire fucking evening in it.
That's not even always a savior. I'm kind of rooting. I mean, I hate to root against something that I love so much, but like Hollywood needs to like fall on their ass hard because I was watching Pet Sematary Bloodlines and I made it about 25 minutes. I'm going to finish it. It's only like an hour 28 or whatever, but I was just like, why should I care? Like, what is this?
That was a pointless movie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only opportunity that they had to do something that hasn't been done in the movies yet is to do something with the Wendigo. And the director retconned the Wendigo and said, in my version, the Wendigo was just like something that they made up. And it's like, it's in the fucking book. Why would you do that? And
and Judd is actually from the 60s.
He talks normal. There's no main accent.
What,
that's Katie Seagal's son.
Oh, really? No shit. Not like I'm rushing to watch it now, but you know, I 20 something minutes into it, and I'm just like, It reminds me of what was it, Underworld 3, where it was like, hey, remember all those cutscenes?
Brian's favorite.
Yeah. Here's a whole movie of all those cutscenes. Yeah, the one where they like you knew the whole thing because they showed it to you in the previous two movies. It was just like a collection of all the cutscenes.
The vampire and werewolf movies.
Oh, the World War II movie?
No, vampire.
No, Underworld. Okay, I'm thinking about Overlord. I'm thinking about that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, the first two movies is Kate Beckinsale, and in the first film you get these flashbacks explaining why the main werewolf guy hates vampires, and you get to see like 3 or 4 different chunks of it, and then they get to the third movie and they're like, well, let's just take those scenes, recast the actors, and add some extra shit. And it's just it's an entertaining enough movie for what you can see of it because there's like 4 lights on set, but it's infamous for us because our buddy Brian, he's like, that's easily the best one. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This is one of your moments, Brian.
Brian, you're doing a Brian thing, Brian.
Yeah, you're low maxing.
Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? I hear people complain about movies, and I do too. I think we all do, but I honestly think it's like the audience is at fault as well, because look at the past 15, maybe 10 years of just blockbusters, movies that have made billions of dollars. They're either Fast and the Furious movies, Star Wars, granted, it has an IP of loyal fans, but at the same time, the product, in my opinion, was shit, especially the Rise of Skywalker. That last movie was fucking horrible. They didn't even have a plan for it, but they knew it didn't matter. The fan base is sold, the tickets are sold. They had the freedom or just the negligence to kind of just play with the idea until they came up with one, and we had a convoluted piece of shit. The Rise of Skywalker was fucking horrible, dude, and that just totally just turned me off to Disney. I don't subscribe to them. They don't have my support, but it still made $1 billion. So that's telling the producers and everybody in Hollywood, look, we got fan bases. We have IPs that people are loyal to. We have that. So we don't really have to put a solid effort into these movies because they're going to be there no matter what.
I think 2023 put an end to that, or at least got the ball rolling on them starting to realize you can't do that anymore. Cause like, every DC movie ate shit. A lot of the Marvel movies ate shit. A lot of the stuff on Disney Plus ate shit. And basically everybody was just kind of sending a message like, you have to put forth some fucking effort, because just mediocre and watchable is not good enough anymore, especially if you're going to give us like 12 of these fucking things a year.
Yeah, you can't just keep doing IP. People, I forget, I think it was Patrick H. Williams who brought up like the 20 biggest movies of 1991 or whatever, and they were all like, they were all different types of genres and stuff, and we used to go to the movies for escapism, and now it's just IP.
All it is.
And the true quality as far as escapism and storytelling right now is long form television series.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything that's kind of made, like I said, I've been talking about the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That's great. I'm watching The Bear. I love season 1, dude. Awesome, yeah, we just finished season 1 last night. I fucking loved it, man. So you're right. I mean, because people want story. You want to connect to what's on screen. And if you can see yourself, like I saw myself in Kratos, fucking video game, you have my attention. I'm vested in that. And I think that's what's really lacking nowadays. It's more just spectacle and, flashy cutscenes, but no story, no merit, man.
Yeah. I mean, Hollywood things.
Godzilla was the first movie I felt connected to in a very long time, man. I love Godzilla. That just came out.
That's why the Iron Claw ended up being my number 1 last year, because that was the one movie that just like.
That's your number 1 pick? Number 1 movie last year? Wow, I didn't know that.
That was the one movie that just broke me in so many different spots and stuck with me and made me feel things and think about things. And, in a year like last year where, I mean, I ranked 121 movies and 100 of those was just like,
no matter
really?
No matter
I didn't know it made it that much of an impact on you for it to be your number 1 movie of last year. That's crazy.
Yeah. Can't wait to see it. No matter what.
And that's a very non-conventional pick for me. Like usually it's like my number 1 movies the last number of years was like Deadpool and Logan and the Batman. And then you get this year and it's the Iron Claw.
And you weren't familiar with the Von Erich story, right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew to expect a decent amount of what happened because all I really talked about, it's heartbreaking, it's tragic, it's gut wrenching. I'm like, okay, so a lot of motherfuckers are going to die in this, obviously. But yeah, I had no idea.
You could, I mean, with all due respect to that family, you could kind of nitpick grab any wrestling family where, nepotism is in the family. I mean, the Hart family. Ooh, go ahead, get to that Owen part. Best of luck. Not crying here.
I took my sister. I saw it again at the theater because my sister loved Kerry Von Erich. She actually saw him wrestling, and they would come down from Dallas to San Antonio to fight the Freebirds and just tour. And she was so in love with Kerry Von Erich. And I took her to see it, and we're both crying at the end because I knew what was coming. Those 2 scenes at the end where the brothers meet at the end.
I haven't watched it yet. I've watched it. I know what happens, but
there's 2 scenes at the end. And it just fucking broke me. And she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I wish, in a weird way, like I said in my review, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I walked in. It's kind of like going to see Selena back in 1996 when Jennifer Lopez did that movie. It's a good movie, but everyone walking in, why am I going to fucking see this movie? I know how it's going to end. It's kind of like, you're happy for them in the middle of the movie, but you know how it's going to end. So I kind of had that feeling of like, okay, I know that's going to happen. That's the feel. That's the gun. And
what the Iron Claw does so well is it never really gives you a false impression that things are going to work out well. Like it always has the focus on
very true.
This father being just such a toxic piece of shit, and these kids just not being able to see a world where they can focus on anything other than living up to their father's expectations. And so even when they're victorious in moments, it doesn't feel like a victory.
No. It doesn't.
Mhm.
And especially when they're hurt. Remember, like, well, you haven't seen a CP. I don't want to mess it up, but there's
trying.
scenes where you expect
trying
him to
my
be a father and he's not. He's
Mhm.
seen it as a business.
Mhm.
Like, you took too long to get up, and like, oh, you motherfucker. Like, it's heartbreaking. And I was really upset. I didn't keep a watch on the Oscar nominations, but I was hoping to see Zac
None.
Efron. And when I didn't
None.
see anything from the Iron Claw, okay, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like-
it's A24's fault because they released the movie so late. They didn't give screeners to anybody until after the voting was done in a lot of critic associations, and they didn't really campaign for it. So it's not 100% on the Oscars. I wish the process was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it wasn't even nominated anywhere, especially Zac Efron, it was just that.
Yeah.
I think I put out a tweet. I'm like, now you can use the word snub because that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You mentioned top grossing movie CP. So here's the top
Oppenheimer and Barbie. Oh, never mind.
for all time grossing. So let's go to number 20 here. Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Okay.
Mhm.
Black Panther, Harry Potter, Mario Brothers, which is a surprise. I like that. I really enjoyed that. Max loves that movie.
Mhm.
Frozen, Barbie really at 15. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Frozen 2, Top Gun, Avengers, Furious 7. My God, at 11. Fuck, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Age of Ultron, number 10, Lion King, Jurassic World, number 8.
That's the CG Lion King, I believe.
Yeah,
from
2019.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, we saw almost 2 billion. Man. Wow. Infinity War, 2 billion. The Force Awakens, I can understand because that was an event. I actually saw that movie 7 times in the theater. I loved it that much.
I love that movie.
Yeah. Titanic, and these are all Cameron movies, right? Oh, no. No.
Avengers.
Avengers Endgame is number 2, and then Avatar.
The funny thing is, the only original title there is Titanic, and it's based on a true story. So,
Yeah.
well, for the most part.
And that's really the only outlier.
I mean, you can go down to 30. Those are all franchise films.
Yeah.
Woof.
See, 20 through 30, you have the Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. That movie sucked. Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah.
It was about grasshoppers the entire fucking time.
Mm.
Was that the one I'm talking
That's
about?
Dominion.
Yeah, that
Kingdom,
was-
Fallen Kingdoms also sucks, but for different reasons.
My fiance, my dad just passed. My dad just passed. My fiance's like, "You want to go to the movies? Get your mind off things." Like, yeah, let's go see Jurassic World. That movie came out.
What a
I go, I'm
mistake.
fucking pissed. This didn't help me at all. This movie sucks. I'm not filming no fucking review.
See, the problem, all of these movies make money, and that's all that like studios think of. Christopher Nolan proves that you don't have to treat your audience like idiots, and you can still make a big movie, and you can still respect your audience and not treat them like children, and still make money.
Yeah.
But we don't have auteurs that make billion-dollar film. Well, James Cameron might count there, but
Yeah,
you know.
but every one of these, I'd say what 80% of these, maybe 90 are Disney owned IPs, and then Universal's the other 10%. You have
Yeah.
Jurassic World and Furious, right? Those are Universal movies. So like that, I guess this is the bottom line when there are green lighting movies. This is what people want to see. There's the data. That's what we want. So that's all we're going to get. I mean, hopefully,
I think the
something-
conversation's turning a little bit. I think people are
I
starting to
hope.
crave originality and crave stories, and I think we'll see a shift. I mean, there's always going to be a balance. There are always going to be the big event films, the big sequels, the big remakes, whatever, that are going to get all the money, and then they use that to fund all the smaller pictures that we all love as well. But
Mhm.
Wolf Warrior 2, what the fuck is that?
well, yeah, China's getting involved too. That explains Furious 7 too. China loves some, as long as they don't need to understand what the words are and some loopy
Did you
shit's
see-
happening.
You see Vin Diesel saying that they're going to scale it back and go back to basics for Fast 11, and they're not going to go.
They're
They're not going
fucking
to.
secret agents now.
They're not going to spend. They're going to scale the budget back to 200 million. It's like back to basics with 200 million dollars. Yeah, I don't know how the fuck you follow Fast X with a street racing movie.
Yeah. Ludacris went from like
You
a
wanna settle
drug
this,
dealer
Jason
to like
Momoa?
fucking a secret
Kinks.
agent and computer hacker. Like, no, you can't go back. But yeah, when it comes
That's
to movies,
like 70 Blumhouse movies.
I saw Barbie like on Max the other day, about a couple months back, I liked it. It was clever and witty. It was better than what I expected. But Best Picture,
No.
really, no, come on.
That's a.
I
The
want
movie's,
comedy,
the movie's
didn't it?
good. The movie's got a lot of popularity and notoriety because of the subject matter, as well
Social
as the fact
narrative.
that it was a surprise highest grossing movie ever directed by a female. So it's riding a lot of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. It wasn't even in my top.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like the Oscars sometimes, because they'll nominate a film for Best Picture simply because of the social collateral that it has and the discussion
every
points.
year.
Black Panther.
Black Panthers, when it started, I'm like, hey, I like it. It was fun. Ryan Coogler, I love the fucking guy. I mean, I love what he did with Creed, but Best Picture? Come on, dude. They're throwing us a bone is what they're doing.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. We recognize, ethnicities, check it out. Fuck that. No. And we can see through that, but I guess most people can't. It doesn't matter. And I actually thought it was funny that there's a lot of people that were bitching, complaining that Margot Robbie wasn't nominated for Best Actress. Oh, us women, or we can't break through all this male.
This is
hierarchy.
literally the plot of the movie.
Yeah. And like women can never get like the exposure. I'm like, didn't a Native American get nominated for a Scorsese film? That's something to celebrate. Dude. First ever. Come on.
It never fucking stops. I mean, yeah, because it's because Ryan Gosling got nominated, and it's like, look, the category of Best Supporting Actor is not anywhere near as competitive as the category of Best Actress.
Yeah.
And if they nominated her, there's no fucking way in hell she's going to win. So like, what are you fighting for?
Listen, Barbie was a good movie. I wouldn't say that she really like transcended the movie at all. She was just,
she did the Margot Robbie thing. She's very good at what she does. But yeah, I'm with you. I would think that her performance in Wolf of Wall Street is 10 times better than Barbie.
Yeah.
She had an accent.
Ryan Gosling, as much as I think that he was very good in the movie, and he kind of played a character more than she did. I don't even know if I would consider him to be like best performances of the year. So
more deserving than she is, at least.
I would agree, but even him, it's just like, okay, he's not going to win, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Robert Downey Jr. He's going to win Best Supporting Actor for. Yeah. I mean, I don't tweet much about movies.
Oppenheimer is going to sweep this year. Yeah, I'd be shocked if it doesn't.
Yeah,
I didn't see again.
Doesn't win leading.
We had the baby, so we didn't see any movies in the theater this past summer. So we finally caught up. I bought Oppenheimer. And that was tough to find, by the way, with physical media. Everybody was buying it. It was sold out.
Oppenheimer and The Holdovers both were like sold out for a while.
I couldn't find it anywhere, and we finally saw it. And it's one of those movies that once it starts, you're hypnotized by the performances and the score and just the speed of the movie. There's so many transitions, but it's slowly just outlining the story for you. And I loved it. And the acting, everybody, that's like a casting call of just talent. And I just love that everybody was bringing their A game. And then Robert Downey Jr., after the movie was over, is like, man, he reminded me that he's a fantastic actor, man. I mean, he's been doing fun things with the MCU, but as far as acting chops, I walked away like impressed, like he's going to win it this year. I mean, it's obvious he is, but he's so fucking good, man.
I'm still pissed that he did Tropic Thunder the same year that Heath Ledger did the Joker. Because it's just like, fuck.
He was nominated, right, for Best.
He was, but there was no way he was going to win against Heath Ledger, but that would have been great.
You think that, and that's blackface. It's funny. I see a lot of black comedians, especially people on TikTok. They support him. They love him. Like, yeah,
Jamie Foxx will go to bat for him.
Everybody will, but
he
the whole point of the movie is holding up the mirror at Hollywood and saying, look how fucking stupid we are sometimes, and look how up our own ass we are. And so the only people that have something negative to say about it just don't get it. They watched a clip on TikTok and discovered the movie for the first time and said, oh my God, this is the person we're nominated? Like, fuck you, shut up. The whole point of the movie is what a offensive nightmare that process is, and it's holding a mirror up to it. It's fucking brilliant.
When the movie came out, shut up. Go do your floss.
Do you think we can make a movie like that again? Because I think
yes.
As far as brilliance, that movie and Blazing Saddles are kind of in the same ballpark. Controversial, but they're fucking hilarious.
I desperately hope that we can at least get back to a point where comedy can be edgy again. I don't know if we're going to get there or when we can get there. It's a fact that Hollywood is scared to death of making comedies nowadays.
Getting canceled.
Because even the most risky comedies feel safe compared to shit that we used to watch. Like, you had No Hard Feelings last year that kind of tapped back into that classic raunchy comedy, but was still rather tame compared to things like There's Something About Mary and things like that. Like comedy, I hold true. It's supposed to offend you. It's supposed to challenge you. It's supposed to push the line. It's supposed to be, too much for some people. And as soon as you say we can't go past this line, it ceases to be funny to me.
I think what's going to happen is you're going to have that Ben Shapiro outfit keep making like ridiculous comedies where they're just trying to do a thing and not really be funny, like that Lady Ballers thing. Awful.
Lady Ballers.
It's a bunch of men who identify as women, so they join a basketball league to win. And it's bad. It's bad. And
the shame is, if you had good writing, that could be fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And that could be very satirical.
Yes.
But yeah, in the hands of somebody that's just doing it to offend and not actually putting effort into it, it's
the other thing I'm getting pissed off about with all these YouTube commentary people about what is and is not funny and how much they can't stand Dave Chappelle and so on and so forth. That Dreamer special, he had a really, really heartfelt close. One of his openers was a trans woman who was a comedian and is no longer with us. There's a joke in there that is extremely well written about having a gun that identifies as a knife. And like, I'm like spoiling the joke, but it's a well-written joke. You cannot, if you understand like the setup and how that joke is presented, you cannot say he's not funny. He's not a good writer. It's brilliant. It just because you don't like what he's saying doesn't mean it's not funny. It's just the way it is. Like, you don't watch it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's what I can't stand either, is where all of the critique on modern comedy that gets the loudest and gets the most attention is not really critiquing the comedy itself. It's just like, this is offensive to me, so it's obviously a bad joke.
Yeah.
And it's like every joke that's ever been told has been offensive to somebody. But guess what? There is somebody that thinks it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I get really annoyed. Like, I think it was Matt Rife not too long ago, really big up and coming comedian. He was getting
he's all over TikTok.
He was getting a bunch of shit for a joke in his special that kind of plays off of domestic abuse, I think. And so a bunch of people were tagging him, trying to cancel him, and he responded and put a link to like an apology letter. And when you click the link, it was like a Amazon page for like one of those like helmets for special ed or whatever.
Yeah,
which is fucking funny. And it was like, see, he's doubling down. And it's like, yeah, he's doing what a comedian should do. He's saying, fuck you. You can't cancel me. That's why I love like Bill Burr. It's like, okay, you can't cancel Bill Burr because he doesn't fucking care and he will never apologize.
And he's an equal opportunity with the way he just calls everybody shitheads. Like, no matter who you are, he's going to call you on it.
It's amazing, the whole Matt Rife thing, because before that special, every woman was just loving on him. They're stitching him, he's hot and this and that. They were all big fans, and he makes this one joke, and then all of a sudden those same accounts all turned on him. They all wanted him canceled, and it just shows the weakness of backbone and character for a lot of people. I think a lot of people just want to tear down celebrities because they know they have the platform now. I mean, back then they used to have to write letters to the studio, right? Now you can just get on your phone and just send a tweet, and canceling equals power, or we won, when it really doesn't do anything.
Social media blurs.
I'm
sorry, go ahead, Cody.
It doesn't have any power unless you give it to them.
Yeah.
Right. And social media blurs the line too, where there's a reason why like Joe Rogan at his comedy club and a lot of other clubs, they're taking your phones because, when comedians do their specials, that's months of them working out the kinks of their material, and people are like reacting to social media where somebody's like maybe like still figuring out how they want to word the joke, and they're reacting to it and it's blowing up and there's all this stuff. And the other thing is, person A who has a TikTok account or a YouTube account, that's not their stage presence. When they do their stage show, that's, you know, the presented material. You're treating both of them as the same exact thing, and one is satire and one is just, you know, some dude, you know, vlogging or doing a live or something. It's the same person, but it's different. It's very hard to explain to people who like. You can't judge it all the same. You can't.
And most times it's taken out of context.
Right.
It's just the statement, but there's no build up. You don't get the previous 20 minutes of material or the after the fact. It's the same thing with these police videos, or police are doing whatever to somebody. That's the last act of a 20-minute conversation of things that to occur. It's the apex of what happened. Show us the backstory, what happened, and give us more to it. Maybe it's not what you're painting it out to be. Mm-hmm. It's reactionary. And the news outlets and social media platforms, they know. I know, since I've been on TikTok, people don't give a shit about good advice. They don't give a shit about like feeling good. They want to be pissed. They want to be angry.
Drama kills.
This can't believe you did this. Oh, you're a Democrat, you're Republican, you're this or whatever.
Yeah.
People are just wanted. That's how you get the tweets and engagement, because that's what they're throwing at us, and we've become accustomed to it. I mean, there's some of us like us who can think for ourselves, but most people can't.
I can attest to that just based off of the videos that I make, and it's a shame. I hate the fact that it's this way. I mean, I don't hate it enough to where I stopped doing it, but like, for example, the end of the year lists that I do.
Yeah.
You have, you know, the movies, you have the worst of the year, and then you have the best of the year. And every year, without exception, the worst of the year video gets significantly more views than the best of the year. Yep. Movies that you think are awesome, that you want to recommend, that you want people to see, you want people to share, you want people to experience. My top 10 best of the year, 35,000 views. My top 10 worst of the year, 61,000, almost double. Mm-hmm. And that's all the time. Anytime there's worst in the title, or there's an angry face, or I look like I just smelled a fucking fart, it always views, because people would rather hear me bitch than hear me praise something. Not everybody, but you get more clicks when you talk about something negative than you talk about something positive.
I had a conversation with somebody who said, I like watching movies and finding the stuff to
wrong with them.
On. And I'm like, why do you watch movies then? Like,
it's kind of like, you know, I mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the point was across.
Well, like, for example, for training, when I've been facilitating in front of like people, like in a class or via online, but when I was in class, it's funny how like it's very similar to like a movie theater. Like, once a movie comes up, we're automatically our IQs shoot up, and we're like detectives. We're trying to piece a story together, look for flaws or things that are wrong. And same thing with like training, like when you're going over like a deck and you misspell a word. Hey, you misspelled the word. You didn't do this right. They're looking for something to call out because they feel I discovered something. Mm-hmm. And I'm special. And you're right. That's what people do. They try to find the flaw and try to break it apart. One of the channels I tend to watch every now and then is called The Critical Drinker. I like the way he writes. But every single one of his videos is like Star Wars this, worst Star Wars ever, blah, blah, blah. Or the MCU sucks. The MCU's this and that. Every one of his videos is titled that way. And every now and then I'll listen to it because, again, he's successful. He's got a niche, but it's his writing style. And I kind of look at how he captures and how he delivers his message. Mm-hmm. So I admire that. Anybody can do that. If anybody can do that, I mean, I'd admire that, right? But I don't follow him. But his channel and his group of people that he networks with are all the same thing. They all bitch about Disney. They all bitch about the MCU.
Haters.
Yeah. Me or him? What do you mean?
No, them.
I don't think they hate it really. I think it's just a fucking character.
No, all of those channels, whether it's Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker or Geeks and Gamers or any of them, the amount that that they portray that they hate something, dial that back by about 60%, and maybe you're in the ballpark. But they know if I throw Brie Larson's face on the fucking thumbnail, it's going to be 10 times the view. And so they're literally farming hate views.
Yeah, the one dude said like he had an extension on his house and he named it Brie Larson.
Oh, the quartering. I remember I was listening because, again, he does some type of like a political item sometimes. And I remember him saying that a couple years back that he did 10 Brie Larson videos and he added an extension to his house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it pays to hate, and it pays to especially like right-leaning content, apparently. It does well as far as the algorithm's concerned.
And you know what?
Pill? Is that what it's called? Red pill?
Red pill, yeah. And you know what? I'm going to be very transparent here, especially with the root advice stuff. Like a lot of my advice is like something that I've experienced and everything turned out for the better. Or I'll have people who have the same type of mindset to get like, hey, you're in this position, you're depressed. This is how you get out of depression. And I hardly get traffic, but I noticed some of the other colleagues that we all kind of started in 2021 on TikTok. Some of them have skyrocketed to millions of followers on TikTok and on YouTube. But the niche they discovered, and I think we all discovered it, is that, okay, there's a dating world. You can either, the guys, you can join the side of the party where guys say women ain't shit, modern women suck, or you can join the conversation where men suck. If you join and select a group and villainize the other gender, you're bound for success, especially if you're a woman talking about how women suck. Guys are the victim. I don't want to name it. There's a few people that I know that have quit jobs and are now doing successfully well. Yeah. And that's their niche. And they understand that they're talking about the problem, but they never give solutions. And if you're depressed, I talk about how to get out of it, but they don't want that. I have another guy that I know who a lot of his videos are, he highlights male suicides. And I go, dude, why are you talking about suicide a lot? And he's trying to tie it to women breaking men's hearts. And a lot of the suicide videos are like, women drive men to do this. And he's getting more engagement. I'm like, you son of a bitch, dude. I know exactly what the fuck you're doing, man. And so I'm kind of pulling myself away from that. But the more extreme, you highlight the negative, highlight the heartbroken, highlight where you're at, like nothing's working out, no one likes you, women ain't shit. That's what people want to hear. They want that. They don't want solutions. And I can't be part of that. I understand I can sell a piece of my soul and start doing that. And I probably can quit my job and have all this revenue and add another extension to my house that I need because I have another fucking kid. But part of me, there's a wiring inside of me that won't allow that to happen. And I can't, but other people can.
It's very similar in the movie space because you have channels where either everything that you cover is the greatest thing that you've ever seen since last week, or everything fucking sucks. Disney can go to hell. Modern movies are terrible. They haven't made a good movie since 95. And anything in the middle, a lot of people don't know what the fuck to do with your review. They don't know what to do with your data. Like if you give a movie a 3.5, that's a positive review. But because it's not 5 or 0, they like can't compute it. And why do you hate this? Or you're not saying that it's as bad as it is because you want to get the money from Disney, or like there's always some weird excuse because they can't compute anything but the binary best worst ever. And that's part of the reason why I can't stand a lot of the way that discourse has gone on Twitter, where you get all these like initial reactions, especially a lot of the crowd that get into movie premieres and everything weeks before everybody else sees it. And it's always the same fucking 5 or 6 sentences. This should me, this was, it's always the same. I call it review Mad Libs, like the same 5 or 6 terms over and over and over again, no matter what the movie is.
You're trying to get pull quotes,
trying to get on the poster, trying to get re-invited. And it's disingenuous. It's dishonest. It's gross. And I hate the fact that more than anything, it sets up people's expectations wrong. Because you see 5, 6, 7 people that you trust saying that this movie that you're excited about is the greatest thing ever, and then you go and watch it and it's just okay. You might have liked it more if you didn't think that it was going to fucking suck your dick at the middle of the movie. And so that I can't stand that. And like there's even people that I'm friends with that I don't necessarily want to call out because I like them as a person that do it. And I just every time I see it, I'm like, oh, stop. You didn't like it that fucking much. Quit.
Yeah. But from an objective point of view, if we all step out of our own skins, and if we're like a manager of talent, like if let's say I'm Cody Leach's manager, and I look at your videos, and I see the worst of is like 20,000 more views compared to the others. And from a business standpoint, if you want to succeed, if you want the money and the notoriety and to get noticed, you need to do more of these. So it makes sense to do blank, kind of like Hollywood. People want to see Fast and Furious, so we need to do more of this. It's shit. But that's what pulls in the numbers. So it's like, are we doing anything detrimental to our own careers by holding ourselves back, by having that moral code and not going forward and getting the exposure and just playing a character? Well, a lot of people that I know justified it. So you know what? It's a character. It's not me. It's all the name of the game. Like Hogan told Rocky in Part 3, it's all the name of the game. So
everybody's got their own line. I mean, are you willing to put that out into the world to make money? If you're okay with it, then okay. I mean, we all have lines. There's people that go to OnlyFans, and there's people that say I would never do that. And it's some people it's worth the money. Some people it's not a big deal. Other people are like, I could never do that. I personally could never do that.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to know that, to look online and see me being somebody that's just farming hate and putting a bunch of hate out into the world to pay for the shit in the house. It just, to me, that's gross.
I understand.
Being genuine about your opinion and giving your honest take, to me, that's the only point to doing this. If you're going to falsify it or ramp it up, or change it in any way because it's more profitable, it's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Doing the right thing and being a good person doesn't pay quite as well as hating on shit.
No.
Yeah. I kind of look at that McDonald's movie where, you have the real owners. I saw it. I don't know all the details, but
Founder.
More or less, you have these people that really take advantage of the real owner of McDonald's. Well, the actual guy who came in and seized the name and all that. And look what happened. They were doing everything right. And he just did what he did. And now he's a billionaire. And McDonald's is McDonald's because of what he did. Is it right? No, but he's successful. So it's like, what do you define success? And is moral code and rules or moral compass, does that belong in business when the bottom line is money? For me, I can't justify, because when I see that one creator that I told you about who's just highlighting male suicides, and he's like, he cuts it with other women like, well, I just want to get fucked. I like the toxic guys, and men, good guys finish last, and now we're dying because of these women. This is what the videos he's putting out there. I'm thinking, if I'm a guy at a very low state, which I've been recently in my life, back in 2016, if I saw everything like that on my phone, that's all I saw, it probably would have drove me to a darker state, and maybe I would have done something to myself because there's no hope. My world, which is my phone, there's no hope, so I'm going to give up. I couldn't live with myself knowing that if my content maybe pushed a guy to do that, I couldn't do it. And I had an experience on Friday. I was at the store at HEB here getting some stuff, and on the peripheral side, this guy comes like this, and he goes, "Rudy," and I'm like, "Yeah, do I know you?" He's like, "Dude, come here," and he hugged me. I'm like, I don't know this fucking guy. It's a grown man hugging me. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? He goes, "Your podcast saved my life. My wife left me 2 years ago. I was thinking some pretty fucking stupid thoughts. I was in a dark place, and I was watching that red pill shit, but your podcast saved my life, and I want you to know it made a difference." And he started tearing up, and I started tearing up too. And I go, "What's your name?" He goes, "Jose." And I'm like, "Dude, thank you, man. I this is the 8th guy that's confronted me either with email or, voicemail, something that says I saved them." And it's a powerful feeling, dude, to know that I've saved people versus pushed people over the edge. And Absolutely. I would never trade that for anything. And I think that's what really matters. Like, putting the good content out there, because you may not hear it, because the people who are bitter and angry and envious, they'll be vocal, but the ones that it's really making an impact with, they may not be as vocal as they are, but it's making a difference. And I won't trade that for anything.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've had a number of people, not in person like that, but I've had a number of people send something similar to me, and I'll take one of those over 100,000 people on the other end. That's just like, yeah, you got me fired up. I love hearing you shit on this.
Yeah,
to me, it's very simple. I try to put out there what I kind of want to see more of, and I want to see less of the way that people seem to be online, where they just show the worst of themselves, where it's just like, grown 45-year-old man bitching about the Little Mermaid or something. It's just like, were you going to fucking see it anyway? Why do you care? And I mean, even just recent, like we got the Suicide Squad game that just came out, or it comes out tomorrow, but early access started yesterday, where there's just been, similar to Last of Us 2, a couple of leaked pictures or a couple of leaked clips out of context, and everybody's raging like, how dare they do this to this? How dare they do
Batman?
This game fucking sucks. I'm going to review bomb it. And it's just like, when do we get to a point where, as a fucking mature adult, you just look at something and you say, okay, I'm not going to play that, and that's the end of it. Or I'm going to try to give it a chance, and if I don't like it, then I'll make an educated response, because I've actually experience the fucking game instead of watching a clip or reading a bullet point on fucking Reddit. And that's the type of stuff that I can't stand. And like, I could easily be the 10,000th channel to put a fucking thumbnail. They did that to Batman off of a clip on a probably 30-hour game that I'm watching 5 seconds of and making an opinion. And it's just, that's the type of shit that I can't stand. And you could easily make a career out of being another part of that, but I would much rather counteract it.
Yeah. There's speaking of careers, there's this channel called Red Pill Community that invited me to be on there. And I was expecting, they had like 1 million followers on IG and on YouTube, about a couple, like 400,000. Now I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be like a debate. I can talk to these guys. And when we go live, I don't even see the host. And I'm like, where's he at? And he pops up, and it's this fucking 13-year-old kid from South Africa, young, and he's talking about marriage and things like that. And every time he asks me a question, he just goes off camera, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? He's just finding clips, and that's all he does is he finds these viral clips from like the Red Pill podcast and from all these other places, and he just posts it. He owns like 5 channels, and that's all he does is he just puts out the same shit on different platforms, and it cycles. He's got like 1 million followers on all these platforms, and it's generating money. So it's a hustle for him to do. And I'm like, wow. So I ended the live after that, after I saw what was going on. I'm like, no, I thought we were having a discussion, dude. I'm off. I'm not cool with this. But that's what he does, because he knows the game. He knows that people are reactionary and they want to see this shit, whether they hate it. People want, in other words, people want to see what they hate, which is so fucking weird. They hate it, but it's drawing them in. They want to see it. They're curious about it. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's some weird psychology of the human mind, but they're drawn to what they hate.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. It's I don't get, I don't operate that way. I don't go on YouTube trying to find things to piss me off, or, you know, not liking some. I'm not out there searching for all the channels talking shit about Winnie the Pooh. So I mean, it's just like, I say my piece, I move on, and I don't know. I don't understand the process, or the mental process of wanting to just live in something that makes you miserable.
It's just bad for mental health too. It's just,
well, there's a lot of people in horrible mental health spaces right now, dude.
Yeah, no, I go out of my way to avoid shit like that for a very explicit reason, where it's like, why? I'm already thinking bad thoughts as it is. I don't need stupid fiction negative thoughts affecting all this.
And I think there's a period of all of our lives that, you know, we're heartbroken, and, you know, we're in that space where you hate everybody, you hate women, or whatever. But then you eventually graduate from that. You kind of like, okay, I got my head out of my ass. It's, you know, I was kind of the one at fault, and I put myself in those situations. I didn't recognize red flags. You kind of eventually evolve and grow. That's what you hope happens. But now I'm seeing a lot of people not, they're staying in that space. Like, on my Facebook platform, I posted a series of pictures of me and my love witch, and the picture of when I first got divorced. And the more or less the notation said, don't give up on hope. You know, don't give up just because a divorce happened doesn't mean your life's over, etc. Just keep working to improve yourself, learn from your mistakes, and grow. And the fucking comments are like, nah, fuck women. I'm giving up on women. I'm give up on love. I'm never gonna get married, lose all your assets. Fuck that. You know, 50% of marriages end. Why get married? It's stupid. There's a lot of people who are just kind of dug a little fucking hole in the corner of the earth and just said, you know, I'm staying here. I'm going to live by myself. All that matters to me is money and my possessions. I'm never going to allow myself to be vulnerable to love, because love doesn't exist. It ends at 50% of marriages, and they're going to take half my shit.
Jerking off, buddy.
I'm happy over here. Well, I can buy a prostitute. That's what they say.
Sure. You could also jerk yourself off with all that cash you're saving.
Yeah. But that's what a lot of men are at right now. A lot of young men.
I saw an old stand-up special by Sinbad that's starting to kind of get traction again on TikTok out of nowhere. And so I was watching I watched it way back in the day. He's actually pretty fucking funny.
Oh yeah.
But I watched it, and there was a spot where he was talking about marriage and divorce. He said, I think it should be backwards. I think it should be really hard to get married and easy to divorce. He said, well, you're all in love in your 20s. You go to the courthouse, like, how much you love her? It's going to cost you $20,000. I don't know. Then you're with her 10, 20 years, and like, then it's just easy to divorce. Like, hey, you okay? No, I'm done. All right, see you later. That's all it is.
That's a play on the Chris Rock joke about guns. You know, have guns be cheap, but if bullets cost thousands of dollars, you really think twice about using it.
That makes sense. I guess it comes down to living in fear. I mean, a lot of men and women, they've had a few negative experiences with relationships, and they've just given up. I'm going to be by myself, you know, fuck marriage. And it kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it breaks my heart, but it's like, I just wish you wouldn't allow a couple of experiences of life to kind of like paint an impression of the entire gender of like, just because you had a couple of bad choices doesn't mean every woman's like that. And just because what you see on your phone doesn't mean every woman's like that. a lot of people don't think for themselves anymore. And I think that's why they like this mass, what do they call it? Herd-like mentality. Well, hey, we hate Spider-Man.
Cult mentality.
Cult mentality. Yeah. They all join it
that
because now
way,
they're part of something large.
Whether it's politics or social politics or whatever, everybody loves to have you have the team where we have a set of rules. You have to follow all of them. If you fuck up on one of them, you're shunned. And that's how everything is nowadays.
But have we really changed all that much? Because I saw Braveheart the other day, and I saw the crowd like, "Boo, execute him!" and they're all like, just yelling for the executioner to cut off his head or whatever. And I see those people all just like yelling, guilty, whatever. And I'm like, have we really changed since then? That herd mentality, have we really?
No,
Not really. No.
There's like a scientific factor. Somebody proved it scientifically, where somebody's more inclined to do something if they're a part of a group and your adrenaline's up and 10 people are doing a thing, i.e. Like J6 or a riot or any of this stuff. Like you normally you'd be like, man, these people are crazy. But when you're in it and you have this shared emotion and this shared experience, it's like, yeah, you know what? Let's go break stuff.
Yeah.
And then when everything's over, you're like, what the hell did I just do? What? I don't even know what I was doing that for.
Yeah.
I was just trying to pick up a bus.
Something else I always try to teach my kids, because my dad always hammered it home really hard with me, was don't be a follower.
Be a leader. That's old school teaching. My dad said, don't be a follower, be a leader. And I think that's why I was kind of like picked on a lot or like exiled a lot, because when people would all make up their minds about something, like, well, no, I kind of like it, or I have a different mindset.
Oh yeah, I was the same way. I was wearing Alice Cooper shirts when everybody was in NSYNC, and I was always kind of the outsider for those reasons, and I still am to this day. I don't toe the line when it comes to movie opinions. So
I like BVS. Everyone hated it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Zack Snyder. I'm kidding.
Well, anyway, guys, it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. It's funny. You mentioned jokes and with that Chappelle special, and I don't know if you've seen it, but he talks about when he met Jim Carrey on the Man in the Moon set. Yep. Did you hear that joke?
Yep.
It was a good one. Did you hear that one, Cody?
I haven't watched the special yet. No.
I want to spoil it. But no, I don't want to spoil it. But it's a good joke. Should I spoil it, CP?
No, don't spoil it, because it plays into what I was talking about before. It's well written, and again, it's another thing that you can tell, or I can tell that is something that he like molded over time, whether it be weeks or months or whatever. That's something that, like, you don't just think that and have a 20-minute bit about how you met Jim Carrey. That's something that, like, you figure out, all right, you put a laugh line here, I cut this so you can get to a joke faster this way. He's just brilliant. To call him not funny or too old or any of that stuff is just stupid. I want your credentials. It's the same. Like I've been barking at Cloud for years now about people talking about movies, and it's like, all right, what are your credentials?
Hi.
God.
Well, no, Cody, you got a wall of credentials behind you. It's just these people are like, this thing happens in this movie, and I don't like it because it's against my politics. So what the fuck?
Yeah, one line in the Batman.
yeah. And again, it's the same thing. Like, oh, I watch these things to find the things that piss me off. You're a movie fan, Cody. You're an enthusiast, dare I say. And we've been trying to help you out with some of the technical stuff.
Am I missing something? What's going on?
No.
Cody, he made a joke, like I was talking about him not being without credentials, but
I totally over my head. I totally missed it, dude.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's some people that like to use words that they don't know what they mean, and Cody's not one of them at all.
Cinematography had cadence. That's an inside joke, Rudy.
I know. That's why I'm just kind of doing this. Well, on to the show, right? Whatever. I don't. I got no segue to that at all. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. Because I think all three of us, everybody we know, is kind of tied to social media. There's a way to work it. There's a way to exploit it. There's a way to kind of be successful in it. And again, it's a line. Selling your soul. If you want to do that, just become something that you're not. It'll lead you to more opportunities, more money. And I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm tempted because there's times like especially in the advice space. Like I said, it's when you all start. TikTok kind of kicked off around COVID. We're all at home, and so everybody and the other 10 people I know, we all kind of started with the same following and kind of grew. And sometimes I see the other ones go, and I'm like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And you can't help but not compare yourself, and you're not envious of them, but you're comparing. It's like, what am I doing wrong? And then you kind of see them going down a path and doing a certain thing. I'm like, oh, okay. I can't speak to that, because I have a daughter and son. I know I've seen both worlds, so I can't pick a side. I don't want to say all women ain't shit. That's not true, but I see them do that, and it's like, okay. So there are times I battle with that. So like, am I holding my family back from prospering financially and buying a bigger house?
I can put that to bed right now, because I can tell you every single channel that I have thought that about, where they started near me or started after me or whatever, and I've seen them like catapult past me in some varying degree or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll think that for a second. Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? What am I doing wrong? And without exception, every single one of them, there's some giant negative to the path that they have taken. Whether it's, and I'm not going to name any names, but like I've seen channels like hyper focus on a certain niche, and then they're stuck talking about that niche forever, and they're not anywhere near as passionate about it as their channel would lead you to believe. And so they're just like, fuck, I got to talk about this again. Yeah. And that's miserable. I've seen people where they've skyrocketed past me by kind of being fake, like being a fake version of themselves. And now they're stuck playing a character. Yeah. And when they meet people in real life, they have to switch on a piece persona of them that's not real, and that's miserable, and they don't feel like fulfilled. So while being yourself and sticking true to yourself might be a much slower path to success, or it might even not be a path to success, the path of success of compromising yourself is never that rewarding.
Yeah. And I eventually I came to terms with that, but there were times I battled with, should I have conversations with my fiance. She's a marketing. She's got a master's in international business and marketing. So she'll give me tips sometimes. And it's like, should I? She's like, no. And I mean, the short-term gain, yeah, you'll get there, but long-term, think about where you're going to be. You don't want to paint yourself in a corner. Yeah. And just every one of your podcasts are not going to be women ain't shit. And, women ain't shit. It's just like, now you're in an echo chamber, and now you've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah. And if you try to pivot, you either alienate and they turn on you, or those videos bomb.
Yeah. And to the movie space, again, talking to Sean, again, I really enjoyed, I think that's, we've spoken before. I mean, I've been to his house. He invited me to the Rebel Moon. So we talk, one-on-one, but we really we tore down a lot of barriers. I really got to know him, especially the addiction piece and all that. But when we got to the YouTube space, I heard what he did and how he became successful, building the catalog 6 months. He got a couple of views, and then the movie comes out and people go, hey, they visited him. They have a catalog of 6 months of stuff that's comparable. And like, hey, that's a great recipe for success. And with me in the movie side, again, I feel like I'm finally in a comfortable space, but at the same time, I understand there's kind of a deal with YouTube where you have to do something for the algorithm. It's like, you have to do something that's being spoken to, like maybe one video I'll do for myself, but I got to do something that's tied to the algorithm to get traffic. And that's where I have a hard stop, because sometimes I just don't want to talk about it. Like the God of War review, for what it's worth, I know I only got 150 views. And to me, that's okay. That's considered to me like an okay video as far as performance. But I felt comfortable doing it. It was just me just talking to the camera like I used to. It was like one take. And normally I'm like stuttering upon my words. It was one take. I felt great. I'm like, I feel good. This feels like me. I'm finally finding my voice, but the performance isn't there. The numbers there. And then you have a discussion. Okay, is it worth your time? When does a hobby get to the point where you're wasting your time? Yeah. If you're not making at least something to pay the StreamYard subscriptions and all the equipment you got, then are you wasting your time? So I sometimes battle with that as well, because again, I don't want to get caught in a niche as well. Like, for example, if I look at the past 4 months, the videos that perform well are the tier videos. Reviews barely get any views, but the tier videos, they perform. And, based on what I heard from Sean and anybody who would look at that, well, that's a thing. Go for more tiers. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to just be tiers and then run out of gimmicks. Or today we're going to be talking about CP's hats, run out of topics is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with the movie side, but always talking about what I love feels good. But even though it may not reflect that in the numbers, so sometimes I have that battle.
I struggle with that all the time. It's about balance. It's the same as like the movie studios where you got to do one for the box office and then you do all the little independent ones. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like every single time I talk about Freddy or Michael Myers or whatever, there's plenty of times where I'm just like, fuck again. Jesus Christ. My thoughts are well documented on this movie.
Yeah.
But those get a lot of clicks, and those are what a lot of my audience wants to see. They want to hear me talk about, Halloween 2018 for the 10th time or whatever it is. And so there's times where I do a video if it's relevant. I don't just recycle shit, but if it's relevant, I'll talk about it again. Like when we did a couple of years ago for 31 on 31, we did 33 on 31, where we re-ranked Freddie, Michael, and Jason. It was Sean's first time kind of joining us for that. So it was kind of like him playing catch up. And I totally understood like why Brian was like, oh, what the fuck again? But at the same time, I knew that with Halloween trilogy wrapping up, there was a lot of excitement with that. There's a lot of people that have joined our channel since then. And those are the big three. And so there was a lot of sensical reason to do it that I was able to kind of stay passionate about it. But that's why this past year, and I'm going to try to continue it this year, I try to at least once a month do at least one or two videos where I talk about like an underrated movie or a hidden gem. Like when I talked about Judgment Night, that video didn't do shit.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I didn't do shit. But when those are the times where you'll see the most passion in me, because I'm talking about some movie that's like this little treasured secret that nobody else talks about and not many people know of. And then I get those comments where they're like, hey, I checked it out. I never heard of it before. I fucking loved it. Thank you. Like those are my favorite moments doing what I do whenever I introduce somebody to something that they would have went their whole life not knowing about versus talking about the franchise that everybody and their fucking mother knows about.
Yeah.
So it's about balance.
Yeah. It's very obvious for me. Like when I have a passion for something, it's very obvious on the video and you can see it. There's like an energy that I think is contagious to the viewer. Yeah. But when I'm not, I see it and I feel so artificial. So I think it's just that struggle to talk about something that I don't want to talk about, but I have to, that I need, I guess like the ways of like what I mentioned in the God of War video, I had to pull my head out of my own ass. Maybe that's something I got to do for the movie space. So we'll see where that goes, but I'll continue to work on that. But those are the struggles. It's two different things. It's like the root device stuff. Like I said, I never saw coming, but I'm glad it's doing well. Like that's the best as far as platform and product. That's doing really good. The podcast is doing amazing. It's going viral on Spotify. So of all the platforms, of everything I've done, Facebook and the podcast on Spotify are doing really great. TikTok has started to pick up again. Good. But the movie space, I hold that close to the chest because that's my passion and I love. And I guess I'm just being too careful with what I want to do and talk about. And that's kind of hurt. Yeah, I'm overthinking it. But again, the production side, ever since 31 and 31, I've gotten the flow now and I feel more comfortable and I produce more. But it's like, okay, what do I want to talk about? Because the past few videos haven't done it, but tier videos, I guess I'll do another tier video. So that's where I'm at. It's just like being very careful with that passion of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your mic on? Can you hear us?
Sure.
We're giving you pause because we're talking over you.
I was no. Yeah, right. I agree.
I can't wait to
hear CP's passionate every time he talks about. All right, guys, a Serbian film 2. Let's discuss.
I think his passion's on stage and with the mic, and I can't wait that. I'm glad you got the set, scheduled, and I'm really happy for you, dude.
Yeah, I'm of two minds for the upcoming month, but yeah, it's. I don't know. I'll be the judge of cancel culture. But
are you going to record your set, or is it just going to be for?
I don't know. I usually try for the same reason Joe Rogan doesn't let people. I'm not comparing myself to Joe Rogan as far as quality of.
No, I hear you. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still feeling things around in a brand new country. Like there's. I'll probably record it and
Patron exclusive.
so it's something like that. And you know, I need to record myself just to know where things are and what sentences
It's
could
like
be
those,
shorter or longer, where there's laugh lines and so on and so forth. And
it's like those girls recording themselves doing squats at the gym. You want to look at the performance and the legs and if they're doing it right.
Can you not walk in front of the stage, please?
Guys, you know what? Does it freak you out that if you have a great ass, you can make tons of money on social media. The power of ass and tits blows my mind sometimes.
I think those PS5s pay for themselves.
But the amount of creators out there that are just pretty and just have great bodies, and they're like models and getting close into them.
I just wish more of them would at least acknowledge that they know what they're doing.
Oh, they know.
I get very frustrated at the ones that like you see the thumbnails where they like got their tits out, and then the first comment that compliments them on it, they fucking screenshot it and blast them on Twitter, and it's just like pickle lane.
Yeah. They know exactly what they're doing. The power of beauty, man. Tits is like amazing. And I find myself like experimenting because sometimes I go on my lives on TikTok. I've been really good as of late, but I usually study what other people are doing. And sometimes I'm scrolling and a pair of tits shows up and I stop. I just stop and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I got my fill. And then I stop again because those are great ass. But just beauty, man. There's women out there that know that they're playing the game and they're doing well for themselves. Like
I'll tell you the funniest story about one time when that happened, where it was me and my wife, and she was driving. I was in the passenger seat, and it was at night, and we're driving, and I'm on Instagram, and so I'm leaning like passenger windows right here, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm doing this. It's like movie site, poster, tits, and I stopped for a second. Yeah, I looked, and then I did this. I went, and I did that to zoom in. And it was reflected on the fucking passenger window. I said, "Whoop," and my wife goes, "Cody, I'll fucking kill you." And I went, "Oh shit." And it was so funny because she got so mad, but then I made her laugh and it wasn't a big deal. I was like, look, if that was on a fucking TV show, you would have laughed. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's natural. I mean, that's just what we're I guess wired to, but it's just it's amazing. If you're beautiful, if you're pretty, you put them on front of the camera. Followers will just flock over to you. And sometimes I look at the comments as well. Like guys are just throwing money. Like my friend Andy, she's a cosplayer and she works here in San Antonio. She never goes live, but she's a moderator on my lives. I think on the TikTok lives for the past 2-3 years, if you added up all the money and tips that I've gotten in TikTok on lives, it equates to maybe $10. So there's no money on TikTok lives like they are on like in YouTube super chats. She went live just for the fuck of it. She was at work before the store opened. She's drinking coffee. She's pretty. She made $100 in 20 minutes. Because guys are just like, she goes, I made $100. I'm like, I fucking hate you right now.
My wife used to be friends with this girl who, like, I'm not trying to be mean, average looking girl.
Yeah.
She was okay looking. She would make money hand over fist selling her fucking underwear on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's just stuff like that. She would tell a story, like she would just come over and casually like, yeah, I made this amount of money doing this. And I would just sit there and I'd be like, God damn. Like, and you're just okay looking and you're fucking doing this. And like the ones that are fine as fuck, like you might not even actually wear these fucking things. You go to goddamn Costco and get a pair of 50 for fucking $10 and you just send them out in a Ziploc bag and make 10 grand.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious. Like it's very clear what gender has the problem, but yeah.
We're the idiots here. We're the idiots, man.
Yeah. Emily knew somebody who would send girls
fart in a jar.
Close.
Fart in a jar.
Send girls brand new shoes, and he expressly told them to make sure that they sweat and wore them in quite a bit, and then he wanted them sent back, and then he would reimburse them with brand new shoes. So he wanted like lived in sneakers, and I don't know if he fucked the
shoe
sweaty sneakers or like smelled it and jacked off or or like I don't know what the kink in particular was, but he really liked stinky shoes for some reason, and he paid quite an amount for them. So there's that.
I don't know if I'm normal or if I'm the weird outlier that I don't have like a weird kink.
Yeah,
it feels like everybody has like one thing that they wouldn't say out loud, and I just don't. I don't know what it is. Like the foot fetish thing has always weirded me out, and the people that want to see like just wear this fucking seahorse outfit. That's my thing, or like whatever it is. And I don't have. Yeah, I don't have any of that, and it's just
the capitalist jealousy really takes over for me. Like, I won't pose nude, but I'll run around in some sneakers and send them to you for some money. That shit.
Yeah, imagine if the roles were reversed. If women were the ones like, I'll pay you if you just fart in a jar. Like, okay, sure. Set up a monthly subscription if you want. We'll talk. We'll figure something out.
I'll give you an HelloFresh full of jar farts.
Jar farts, bath water. Remember that one YouTuber Twitch girl? I mean, and look at Twitch. I mean, all the girls know the game. How many Twitch streamer girls are out there?
And they changed it too.
Did they to what? I don't know what they
Twitch now you can have your tits out, apparently. You don't need a hot tub. That was the funny thing when people were like loopholing and they were putting like like kiddie pools in their living room, and it was like somebody's gonna get electrocuted doing this. Like, this is as long as you had a pool or a body of water or something, you could be in a bikini, and they've done away with that, and now Twitch is well.
If you were hot, if you were a hot woman, both of you, would you guys be doing the same thing?
Each other?
No, if you were hot and you just wore something kind of revealing and just people were throwing money at you, would you go, okay? Would you exploit it, or just no? I'm not going to do that.
I don't know.
I would. I'd be a fucking whore. Low cut shirts, everything, man. I would be doing it in a heartbeat. Especially because they're not even doing anything. They're not. And a lot of guys, this is an argument that many guys can have different positions on, but like when they say women, all these IG models are whores, and I wouldn't date an IG model. And I look at that, and I remember back in the day, Playboy, being a Playmate of the Year was a big deal. It was kind of respected. It wasn't frowned upon as pornography. It was like beauty. And a lot of girls, I remember my demographic, my age, I wanted to be Playboy models. That was kind of what they were aspiring to. So when I see women who model on IG in just bathing suits or like sexy photos, I'm not talking grotesque photos, but just sexy photos, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. When it gets then like twerking with their ass on the screen, that's a little different. But just beauty pictures, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. And OnlyFans, again, if it just shows breasts, is that pornography? I mean, Playboy, centerfolds.
Playboy, yeah.
My thing with OnlyFans is that, again, with like the pick your lane thing, like I feel like women need to decide, do we empower that or do we shame that? Because there's so many that just ride both lines. Like they want to empower, like there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you go, girl, get that money, like sex workers for life, whatever. But then if they get somebody that's like, hey, do you have an OnlyFans? That guy's a creep. And it's like, is it normal? Is it just casual? Is it not that big of a deal, or is it? And that's the weird hypocrisy of the whole thing. It's like, okay, we all know, like, we can be sex positive, whatever, but we all know there's a certain amount of shame that goes with it. You just can't get around it. If you're making money,
always be on the internet.
Yeah, if you're gonna make money showing your butthole, when you eventually have kids, or when eventually your skin's sagging off or whatever, you might regret it, and you're not gonna get around all of that. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. It's like, okay, do what you want. That's your body. That's your fucking wallet. That's your reputation. That's none of my business. But it's just such a weird cultural shift that we've had here over the last couple of years, where that used to be detestable, and now it's like pushed so far the other direction that it's almost hypocritical.
Yeah.
And it's odd. Yeah. And that's like become like a major thing where it's just like, hey, you get your Facebook, Twitter, and your OnlyFans.
I'm glad I'm the age I am now when this is all about happening, because if this were occurring when I was a teenager, I'd be a fucking mess. Especially with it being accessible on your phone, that you can view whatever you want, any video you want. when I was younger, the only avenue you had is if your parents had a satellite and they had Playboy, you can view it.
Mhm.
You had the scrambled channels where you didn't know what the hell's going on, or you had the infamous Playboy behind the counter at the gas station with a black bar, and you
Mhm.
couldn't get access to it till you're 18. So there was limitations to what I can view, and we fucking hated it. But I'm
Mhm.
glad they were there, because I would have been a fucking mess if I had all that in front of me, dude. And I worry about kids nowadays, especially young guys, because like I said, a lot of them are just so consumed with, they gave up on real life women. So the women are there on their phone, the OnlyFans accounts. Like I think I told you guys, like they open up an account and they have message bots that kind of message you, hey babe, how was your day? I took this picture. What do you think? So it kind of feels like a relationship to them. It's like, it's so fucking weird. So they
The
love
girlfriend
that
experience.
Yeah, and they pay for that. I got this video I filmed for you, $5.99. Okay, honey, whatever. And they'll buy it.
Weird.
And it's like, it scares me that that's what they feel is normal. And when their real life woman comes about who is not that way or visually beautiful, they may like frown upon that. No, why am I going to go for the real thing when I have somebody who's not going to give me any shit or any problems on the phone?
Just
I'm
wait
gonna
till we
prefer
have. Just wait till we have robots that we can fuck. Humanity's coming to a screeching
Pretty
halt.
Pretty close.
Oh, God. Like, what was that movie, Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah.
What, Ana de Armas? Yeah, if that was like in your house, just walking around and you can feel and touch it, like, oh, dude, yeah, it's on. Yeah. It's going to be insane.
Her covered something like that too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Her.
Oh, with Joaquin
Scarlett
Phoenix.
Johansson and yeah.
It's funny as it is, but Demolition Man called it. You remember when he was going to have sex with her?
Three shells?
Yeah, not the 3 seashells, but you want to have sex? It's like, oh yeah. And then she brings out that box with the headgear.
The
and all
VR,
that.
yeah.
They didn't touch each other, but like I didn't touch you. We're probably a few years away from that. Yes, yeah. You guys good on time? I know we're at 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I'm good.
CP, you've been kind of quiet up there.
You guys are talking about kids and being popular. I have nothing to add to either.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't put me on the spot.
Yeah. What's been on your mind? What's the difference between the US and the UK right now? What are some of the cultural differences you've seen?
They're really, really like into / against the trans issue here. Like really hard. It's really strange, like how much like it appears in social media and stuff like that. It's just so present about.
They're against it.
Yeah. Yeah, they represent 3% of the population, and it just gets brought up for everything. You're ruining women's sports. All right, name me 5 female athletes. Go. Like what? That's your concern? It's just of all the things. And immigration's a big thing here too. They're getting people on boats from Rwanda, and they're wanting to send them back. And it's weird. If you compare British news with American news, you would think that this country would be the one trying to build a wall. It's fascinating.
It's the same really narrative, but just different players.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's strange. Like they don't want people coming over for good jobs. Like there's people who are trying, like who have college educations, and you have doctors going on strike because they're underpaid, and it's like they're doctors.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Doctors, post office, like they're in shambles here as far as healthcare is free, but they're not getting paid well enough to be staying at their job and not going on strike. That's for certain.
Okay. I never asked you this. I guess we've kind of hinted around it. I guess since we're here and we're all cool, I can ask you, what are your thoughts on trans? I mean, are you pro it or against it? And what makes a woman? I'm just kidding. That's a Matt Walsh pick. I'm sorry. That was like a bad joke. I'm sorry, but Matt Walsh.
No, I get the reference. I if I didn't have the experience I did when I was younger, I don't know, maybe I would have a different look on it, but when I was dating a woman who had a child who was 6, um, all he would do was play with girls' toys, and he always wanted to be a mermaid, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. And I was like 20, 21. I was like, I just, first of all, I just wasn't like prepared for certain things, real life shit. And this was something that, first of all, I was dating someone with a kid for, that's hard enough as it is. But like, this was just so foreign to me, to where I finally like just pulled him aside and I was like, why do you always have to, like, whether we're playing Mario Kart, you have to be Peach. Whether we're playing a board game, you have to be the pink piece. Yeah, all of this stuff. Why does it that you always have to be the girl? And this is a 6-year-old. This is like pre social media and all that stuff. He goes, Charles, is it possible that I'm a girl with a boy's body painted over it? And like, I was floored. I did not know how to answer that, let alone like, how does a 6-year-old come to that conclusion? Like that's to think that is just so, I don't know, out there. I don't think any sort of operation like that should happen prior to puberty. I know somebody who wanted to go through with the hormone therapy that was denied because the testing was done right and it was done rigorously, and the doctor, there's tests over the course of months. This is a different person. This is somebody that's in the last couple of years that is now in their 30s, I think. And he let it slip, and he said, sometimes I feel like a girl, sometimes I feel like a guy. And the doctor's like, I'm not prescribing you these medications because to transition is to go from one thing to another. You're not dabbling in both. And the doctor said, what you might be is non-binary, but you're not trans. And it's a really hot button topic. I certainly recognize that from both ends of the Atlantic, but I think if people are serious enough about it, it should be dealt with the proper respect. And I don't have all the answers. There's a lot of stuff that is really hard, but I believe that there's people out there that, again, I'll go back to this 6-year-old kid who said, what if I'm a girl with a boy's body painted over that? Who makes something like that up? Like how how does that happen? That's not something that, you just get planted into your head. Go ahead.
Can I tell a story? It involves me, and when I was 7. So it's.
Were you a boy with a girl's body painted over it?
Let me tell you what happened. And I talked to my parents about it. So it's not going to be PC. I'm just warning everybody up front. Okay. It was 2nd grade. And I remember a lot of girls would talk to me, and I had guy friends, and I had G.I. Joes, Transformers. But I had a lot of girls who would talk to me and just touch me a lot. And I'd be at lunch and girls would just be, hey, Rudy. And I'm like, hey, and I didn't know about hooking up with girls. I didn't know about kissing them. I just was friends and playing with my toys, right? But I remember every time I was by myself, the girls would talk to me, and they just felt very comfortable with me, and I felt comfortable with them. Like I wasn't nervous around them because I didn't know about, sexual dynamics or anything like that. I just saw it as a girl. And before you know it, like they always want to hang around with me. They met me at breakfast and when my parents dropped me off, and I felt very comfortable with the girls. And this is like, I'm 7. And I'm like, am I a girl? Is that like girls are talking to me? Am I a girl? Like what's going on here? And I remember, okay, this is the part where it's going to get kind of on PC. I go to my parents and I'm like, Mom, for whatever reason, girls are really talking to me and they're like touching me. And I feel very comfortable with them. Am I a girl? My mom goes, are you fucking crazy? No, you're a boy.
Gay.
Dude, that's pendejo way. Come on. No, stupid ass. No, you're not a girl. You're just a boy and they think you're cute. All right. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that was it. That was it. That's a God honest truth, man. That one time it came up and I was just confused. I didn't think I was. The girls were comfortable with me. So why are they coming? Because the whole thing, boys hate girls, girls hate boys. You know, the little rascals, that was always a thing, you know, the no girls club. So it was weird that they were comfortable with me, but they just liked me. And that's why they were touching me. Now I understand that's what was going on, but that's what my mom said. Are you fucking crazy? That was it. I never had the thought again. So I'm not saying maybe people should try that nowadays. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the whole story you just told had me come up with a memory that I haven't thought of in a very long time.
Well, it's just weird because like society in the last 10 years acts like this type of issue has only come up recently. And I don't know, if you look at Boy George from the 80s,
oh yeah,
what is that? David Bowie from the 70s, what is that?
Well, seriously, what was it? I mean, back then, what was it? It was like transvestite. What were the terms back then? It was, or maybe just a costume.
Well, yeah, they were being ambiguous. They were being sexually or gender ambiguous. But yes, transvestite was the term back then. And
I didn't know that.
Transgender. Okay. So it's not like it's this new thing where, you know, people have expressed themselves outwardly as, you know, what they were born as.
The new part of it is how society reacts to it and protects it heavily. Yeah. It started with the bathroom stuff, like with Target and everything. And then eventually women's sports and, you know, parades and stuff like that, and going to the White House and showing your tits and all the stuff that's kind of celebrated nowadays is the difference.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, when I was in Denmark, the public restrooms at the mall, you all had your own private stall with a door. So, you know, it was, just imagine like we would have a food court. That's what the restrooms were, but they were all like a personal bathroom with a door that shut behind it. So the restrooms, well, in Denmark at least, or at this one location at least, it was whoever was in it. You know, there weren't stick figures on the door. It was a restroom. You do what you want in there and take care of whatever. And they had the baby thing where, you know, to change the diaper and all that. So I don't have the answers. I've seen interesting progressions with the issue, but at the same time, there's too much hatred for stuff like this. If somebody listen, and I'll re-stress, I don't think children should be put through that. If children have second guesses, then yeah, maybe speak to a therapist. And I don't think any child should even approach the idea prior to puberty. Yeah. But you know, it's a difficult topic. I mean, I just don't have the wiring in my brain, so I couldn't possibly understand what the struggles of that are.
I understand chemically people are just wired differently. I understand there's like certain things that happen, outliers, that situations that happen that I'm not aware of, but they exist. But I haven't thought about that story in a very long time, but I also kind of thinking now, what if my mom didn't say that? And as brutal and blunt and, you know, un-PC as it was, but what if she said you can be anything you want to be? What if that would have confused the fuck out of me, dude? As a kid, I'd be like, whoa, wait, okay, there's options? I didn't know that. I thought it was just because all around me, movies and friends and school and everything, there's a girl's line, there's a boy's line. You can be both. That would have confused the fuck out of me and maybe sent me down a road that maybe would not have been healthy. So again, everyone raises their kids the way they want, but if that ever came up with my kids, I'm telling them you're a girl or you're a boy. I'm telling them who they are. That way they can kind of form their own identity, their own persona. And if that thought is still lingering when they're adults, then they can address it and then talk about it and maybe pursue whatever they want. But I think kids need a foundation of just clear paths, like, hey, this is what you are, this is who you are, this is our background, our creed, this is our religion, and just build a foundation for them to maybe change if they want as they as they grow up, because it's scary if my mom had said something else.
I have sympathy for stuff like that, but at the same time, I really feel like people who are in those scenarios and have difficult situations and really difficult things going on internally need to understand what the perception is with the outside world, because I don't remember where I heard it. If it's even a thing, or it might have been an Onion article, so this may not be the entire truth or what, but somebody had come out and said that they identify as a fox, and it's just like, how do you know what a fox?
What does a fox say?
Right. But like,
that was a layup. I'm sorry. Come on.
There's certain, I get the people that are against it, that are like, how far does this go? And then something like this happens where somebody's like, yeah, I identify as a fox. And it's like, well, see, this is what I'm talking about here. And
I pretended to be Superman when I was a kid. I thought I was Superman for a while. My parents would give me the towel. I'd run around. So I read about it. I wanted to be him. So for a few months, I thought I was. Maybe that's the same thing.
Yeah. It's.
I don't know.
I mean, everything's social construct. What we think of a man or a woman, or whatever. It's what society is constructed of these things, other than genetics and our body parts and chemical base and all that, which you can alter. But pink used to be the color that you would put on boys as a baby. So things change, and I don't know. It's a very deep topic for somebody who I don't know.
I get what you're saying. And now's not the platform to say it.
I think the main issue is that it's such a hot button issue with so many different angles and so many nuances and everything. But the problem is, like, people have to be able to talk about it.
Yes.
And way too often nowadays, if you try to discuss it whatsoever, you're like silenced and labeled a bigot.
Yeah.
And it's and that's where the issue comes in, where, I eternal sympathy for somebody that's going through that. I cannot imagine how horrific it must be to feel like you're not in the right body. Mm-hmm. That sounds horrifying to me. And people that swear that they felt that way all the way from childhood, that's horrible. And, for the long time, for people that felt like they didn't have an option to fix that, if you will. But nowadays, where it's gone into so many different things, to where now, like I said, the way that it's kind of transpired over the last 5, 6, 7 years, to where now it's like there's a big debate on, like, okay, well, what do they go into the girls' bathroom? Do they go into the boys' bathroom? Do they go into men's sports? Do they go into women's sports? And anytime someone tries to discuss it, it's either you're 100% for it or you're hate.
Yeah.
And you're a bigot and you're disgusting and you're horrible. And it's just like, no. Mm-hmm. I have zero hate for gay people, trans people, any of that stuff. I've worked with a trans person at Target, and ironically enough, Target. But I can tell you right now, the notion of, if a grown-ass man that is dressed as a woman walks into a bathroom where my little girl is in there, am I going to feel comfortable with that? No. Not really.
Yeah.
And it's not because that person's trans, they're obviously going to do something to my daughter. It's not because that person's trans and I hate them. It's none of that. It's just, it's a very basic comfort of privacy. Boys go in here, girls go in there. And once you break that, then we need to start having the conversation of doing things like CP was talking about with Denmark, where it's like, okay, well, we need to get rid of the community bathrooms then, and we need to just have individual stalls. One person goes in here, door locks, and they're not gender specific. We tear down the gigantic room with urinals, and we put 5 or 6 individual rooms, and that's how we solve the problem.
Dude,
Yeah.
they have like doors, like you can't even see like the feet, like you know how the the stalls,
it's a
like
room. It's just like the movie theater where you have the family bathrooms where it's a locked door.
Yep.
That needs to be the standard then, and then we can get rid of that. But you can't discuss it. And if you bring it up for a topic of discussion, if it's not, you can go wherever and it's okay, then you're an asshole. And it's the same thing with the sports thing. Do I want to live in a world where if my daughter works as hard as she possibly fucking can to be the best at whatever sport she's in, and she gets smoked by somebody who decides they're a girl, am I okay with that? No. And nobody should be. But then it's like, what do you do? And there's no easy answer. Do we have a trans league? Do you even want a trans league? Is that
the closest thing that I heard that I was like, that might be that's the
only thing.
But
that
I
guarantee
you, the person that brings that up, there's going to be a certain amount of people that say like, so you're segregating them.
Yeah.
So you want them to be on their own team, like they don't belong. And it's just like that. We have to be able to discuss things and not from a place of hate.
Yeah.
It's genuinely, it's denying science at its core to pretend that a male or a female that was born a male does not have a physiologically advanced or a physiological advancement over a woman. And that's another conversation you can't even have anymore, because it's like, are you saying men are better? It's like, no, we're fucking built different.
Yeah,
we have different bone structure. We have different muscle structure. It's scientifically proven that we gain muscle more and we're stronger. Testosterone, all of that.
To push back on that a little bit, there may the solution to that might be, because once you start transitioning from man to female, you're not taking you're taking estrogen and it's lowering your T. Maybe
but you've already got the bone structure of somebody who's been living with testosterone for X amount of years.
Yeah.
Like it's more of an issue with things like fighting sports, like where you had I think
contact sports.
Yeah, I think it was I forget the name. Maybe it was Fallon Fox, the one that Joe Rogan got into a bunch of trouble with because he was against it. Where you have somebody that was a male and then transitioned to a female, didn't disclose that. And then was just beating the fuck out of women, like just mowing through them because the bone structure and the hands and everything are different. Like you can't deny stuff like that. Yeah. I know it's a hot button issue, but
there should be discussions and like, you know,
and I don't know what the right answer is, but it has to have a discussion. We can't like just not talk about it.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, if you've been taking estrogen for a certain amount of time, I don't know what like a scientifically proper amount would be.
Yeah, I have no idea. Whatever. I'm not an expert either.
You know, both you and I both or three of us, you know, have no such chemical interaction. But I guarantee, if we were to have some sort of race or something, I'm losing. And it has nothing to do with the amount of testosterone in my body. I'm just broken. You know, so you're right, Cody. We need to be grown-ups. I think that's the problem. We're the smartest we've ever been. We have all this information at our fingertips, yet society, we just choose to like listen to what we want to hear, and we are as stupid
silence
as
everything
ever.
Else.
We want validation, not the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to hear what I want to hear. I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah. And that goes into everything. That goes into politics and everything, where it's like, you got to be able to have a conversation. Like, and again, I don't want to get too deep into politics, but that's one of the reasons why I despise that entire piece of life, and the fact that it's become ingrained into everything nowadays, to where it doesn't matter if you're talking movies, sports, fucking music, art, whatever, somehow someone's going to bring politics into it. And it's just, I've always considered myself to be in the middle, because there's things that I'll hear on this side that make sense. There's things that I'll hear on this side that sounds fucking asinine. And the same thing over here. Sometimes they make sense. Sometimes they sound asinine. And the notion that I've joined this team, and so I already know where I stand on every argument before I've even heard the argument, to me, that's idiotic. And until we get out of that space, we're going to continuously just be in this spot where it's just like, okay, Trump or Biden, who's winning this time? Or, you know, like, it's just like two fucking horrendous choices. And then 4 years from now, we'll do it again. And
whoever wins, we lose.
Yeah, exactly. Or even the notion, like, in the Trump versus Biden thing's perfect, to where it's like there's plenty of people who are right wing that do not believe in Trump whatsoever, and there's plenty of people who are left wing that do not believe in Biden whatsoever. But people vote not because they support a candidate; they're voting against the candidates they don't
the
like.
Other thing, yeah.
And that's just, again, so fucking stupid to me. Where you're putting all of your eggs in this basket just to spite this person.
Yeah,
and
you can get 6 different types of fast food burger within 2 miles of where you live, but president, you have 2 choices and they suck.
Both suck. There's going back to the male body being stronger than the woman's. I've noticed a lot of women on TikTok. They love murder mysteries. They love true crime. They're all at home drinking wine, watching Dateline murder mysteries.
My wife is that way. She's obsessed with that shit.
Exactly. So is my fiance. And I did a video for a sponsorship with a public data check, and I was acting like I was talking to a woman. What do you like to watch? Oh, murder mysteries. That's it. I didn't know Bleach can do that. And like, really? That's all you watch? Like, how did your first husband die? That was a whole video. Like, guys, if you want to be sure you're not going out with a murderer, go to public data check. And I decided to do a podcast and saying, why are women obsessed with murders and serial killer documentaries? And I put a poll out there through Microsoft Forms on my Facebook page of like, if you're a woman, why are you obsessed with this? And tell me why. Majority of them said, we want to learn about the behaviors and the attributes of a man who thinks that way so we can protect ourselves, because women are always the victim in these stories and men are stronger than women. In a fight, there's no way we can get out of it. So we're watching these documentaries because we're fascinated with the mindset, and we want to recognize that for safety's sake. Yes, and I asked my fiance that. It goes, is there any truth to that? She goes, yeah, to some of us, yeah. We want to recognize, behaviors and things that are phrases that are said and those things of that nature. So majority of the women, and there were 500 voted on that, they all said the same thing. We want to protect ourselves from a man who is stronger than us. So I know movies have shown women can fight back and all that shit. And I guess if you're trained.
Yeah, it's not one for one. There's plenty of dudes who can get their ass kicked by certain women. It's
but
just
if you're talking
a generalization. I mean, if you just want to go back to sports, like it was either Venus or Serena, I think, was talking about how they would never want to play Andy Roddick, who's kind of like one of the big male tennis players, because they'd get destroyed. Yeah. And again, this is something where it's like you have to be able to discuss it, and it's just the way that we're made. A man at his most physical peak is always going to trump a woman at her most physical peak, just because of biology, not because one's better than the other. And so when you have to balance that reality in something like sports, especially contact sports, you can't just ignore that fact. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the truth. And I get the argument, like saying a woman can compete with the man. It's just, chess things, smart, in some sports, yes. But when it comes
even
to like
certain sport, it just depends on the guy. I'd get my ass kicked by plenty of women. I'm just talking about like the fucking Arnold Schwarzeneggers of the world. You know what I mean? Like
when I was trained, when I was a cop, I was a cop for a few years here in San Antonio. They always talked about the fight for your life that day, where you're on the ground trying to hold your elbow on your gun so they can't unholster your gun, but you're fighting for your life. They said that you'd be surprised how strong men are, and men who work constructions, who are blue collar, they're going to be 10 times stronger than you, than you think. You can go to the gym and look all built, but you don't have that strength that they have day to day. And Cody probably knows because you worked out there with some of these guys who can lift fucking shit like, whoa, that guy's got a strong back. Yeah. But when it comes to fighting for your life, they always said you never want to fight that guy because you're guaranteed that'll be your last day at work. And that terrified me. And I'm a man who was at my peak, and I was scared of that type of guy. So again, we have to be realistic. Yeah. There's guys out there that have some strength that can overpower anybody.
Yeah. But for show.
At the same time, there's only 45 professional trans athletes, trans and or non-binary. So is it more pressing than homelessness?
No. I don't think that was the question, though.
No. I'm just saying, for there to be this big a stink over 45 people is
I think the people that if you weed out the people that are doing it just purely from a hateful stance,
oh yeah,
clicks,
yeah,
people that legitimately are bringing it up for concern, I think it's more of like getting ahead of what they perceive to be a future problem. You know what I mean? If their daughter or if their sister or whatever is the one that gets the silver while the newly converted trans person gets the gold, then they're going to speak up now.
Yeah.
But I mean, we never focus on the issues that are most pressing. I mean, for fuck's sake, how much money does our country send to other countries while we just let shit rot here?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you talk about homelessness. How much money would it take to solve homelessness in USA versus the amount of money that we send to Ukraine and everywhere else? And I mean, that's just the way that it goes, unfortunately.
Well, considering what Elon pissed away on Twitter, he could have taken all that money that he lost on Twitter and just.
The fiance and I, knowing that the value of the dollar, we're talking about retiring in Mexico because the dollar, dude, you can buy a fucking mansion for like 100,000 American, and you can just kind of put your American money into a trust and just kind of get an allowance, and that can last you the rest of your years. So we're strongly considering that. And even though it's violent and, can be dangerous, but there's certain areas that are, safe, quote unquote. And you mentioned the borders and all that, in the racism and prejudice. Sometimes it's the same in Mexico. Mm-hmm. South of Mexico is Guatemala. In Guatemala, you have people who are like my height or shorter and darker. In Mexican people are more Spaniard blood. They blue eyes, tall, blonde hair. They're beautiful. And they're racist against the Guatemalans coming into Mexico. And they want borders. So it's the same problem. It's the same discussion. And they want them to stay in their area. They don't want them coming to Mexico. So there's certain areas. It's funny, no matter what country you're in, there's a neighboring country that the other country doesn't want in. So it's pretty funny.
There's a lot of issues or topics of debate or whatever in America that are just the same, or if not significantly worse, all around the world. And it's hilarious how many people that just get behind a keyboard and act like America is the worst place ever. And it's just like, please go somewhere else. And and it makes people in America look fucking stupid, because you'll see people that actually live in those countries that have healthcare that has gone to shit or whatever, or whatever the thing may be. And they look at us and they're like, just shut the fuck up, you spoiled, entitled little bitch.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that kills me. Like, and you see it a lot with celebrities. They're like, I'm leaving America, I'm denouncing my fucking citizenship. And it's like, go, please put your fucking money where your mouth is for once and leave.
Yeah.
See how great it is.
And I would never have considered that. But when I'm looking about money and how things are going, I just want to do what's best for me and not be a burden to my kids. Mm-hmm. When I'm older, I'd rather walk straight in the ocean than be a burden to them.
The other thing is the internet has made the world so small. Mm-hmm. Like I think I have people that I speak to on every continent, and like I'm closer with you guys than fucking blood relatives, for fuck's sake. So like,
same.
Like
sad.
It's not sad. It's awesome.
I know. I'm kidding.
I'd rather it be this way. Fuck, my family sucks.
It's funny. The more people I talk to, the more it's like everyone has family. There's family items there that we kind of distance ourselves from. And like our friends are like our family in a way. So it's like it's a common thing.
Yeah. As long as the internet is there and the speed is decent enough, where you actually live isn't that important. Mm-hmm. Weather starts playing in and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, guys, we're already at 3 hours, so I think I'm going to end the podcast. And again, thanks for doing this, man. I know this is a long time. I know it's late everywhere you guys are at, so I appreciate your time. We got to do this again every 3 months, every 4 months or so, when just talk about things and maybe go live. I don't know, but I think I was considering going live earlier, but I think there's
stuff
more
like this is better not to be live, because the live can derail it, because you get all the different opinions, and it's just like, okay, let's fucking highlight this guy who's screaming at us.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what my mom's story would have done to the chat.
Oh, and Zaynep. Oh,
yeah.
I think that's going to be comments anyway, but
Mm-hmm. But guys, I appreciate this. Do you want to like pitch what you're working on before we end it?
Nothing too exciting at the moment. You know, January has been a shit month. I'm still going to do a top 10 most anticipated video game video for my Game Chamber channel. I got to do my January movies ranked. Those are probably the two that I'll get done before Megacon. I don't plan on really doing anything this weekend because I'll be at Megacon, but at least one of those panels will be on my channel. So that'll be there to watch. And then hopefully February, there's more shit to talk about. January was just like,
yeah,
I ain't shit.
We'll see, bitch.
CP?
Yeah, I'm juggling a few chainsaws creatively for the month of February. There's a couple things going on. Stand up, like I mentioned earlier.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm really happy for you.
I am too. Thank you. It'll be interesting to see what
Son of a bitch.
what a different country. Like I'm catering material to the UK, and so it'll be interesting to see how some of the altered material plays.
Yeah.
There's yet another video that is of a movie that people really shouldn't watch, but they do well. A 1983 movie called Angst. On February 1st, were a couple of Emily's old videos that were taken down for like for copyright reasons, which shouldn't have been done. We're just kind of throwing them up on my channel, and starting on February 1st, which will probably be up by the time you're watching this.
Cool.
Her review of Greta is up, and that was quite funny. And there's 2 or 3 others on top of that. Desensitized, that word, being desensitized in horror is another one. And we'll be talking about a couple of other things, and Five Nights at Freddy's with Dice Rolling.
Awesome. I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, please follow the show on whatever platform you're listening on. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and also leave some comments. Let me know if you thought the information in this video was helpful in any way. Also, keep in mind, I have an entire catalog of other episodes regarding cheating, life after divorce, dating after divorce, how to survive a breakup, all listed there for your help. So please watch and let me know what your thoughts are.